Morning, everybody. We will convene the whole meeting, June 18th, 2026. Call it to order. Start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connections to these lands, their history, language, and culture. So, good morning, and looking at approval of the agenda. No add-ons. No, I think Councillor DeHollick already threw his fingers in the air. So any additions, deletions? Seeing none. All in favor?
Oh, I'm thinking,
Oh,
why are you calling for deletions or
no.
after?
You can put your microphone on, please.
Did you hear me?
Yeah. You're good? Okay, sounds good. Okay. We'll have a discussion later. All in favor? Motion carried. Moving on to approval of the minutes from May 21st, 2026. Councillor Chamzik.
Willing to approve if there's no corrections.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for approval of the minutes. No discussion. All in favor? Motion carried. Be 7-0. So delegations, FCSS annual report is at 10 a.m. Then Alberta Hub Skyway project is at 10:30. That's in 4 of our agenda. So until that time, we may as well move on to number 5.1 CAO update, page 41 of your agenda. And on that note, I look to anything to add, Mr. Beck or anything? Nope, everything's okay. Any questions? Councillor Stasiak.
Thank you. Through the chair, is there any news, update, progress on the Rochester Library at all?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Seeing none. Thank you very much, CAO. Moving on to 5.2 department updates, starting off with Director Hambley, Director of Corporate Services. Thank you for your report. First thing, and any question or anything to add, I guess, first? Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I apologize. I did make a mistake in my report on page 44. Under safety, health and safety, under safety operations, I accidentally copied and pasted the same information twice. But under safety operations, I did want to report that our safety officer assisted with incident reporting and review of incidents involving county employees. She participated in seasonal worker safety check-ins and observations. So she's actually going out on the road now, checking on her staff as they're working. And she's managed some WCB claims and related case administration. So I apologize for that oversight. I just caught it last night. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or? Seeing none. Oh, Revolve.
I do have a quick question, and I know it's part of the budget, but When it comes to the cemetery improvement grant, I see that the budget balance is 10,500. So basically it's a first come, first serve scenario. And once that fund is hit, then that's it, that's all.
Yes,
Okay.
unless members committee, unless council chooses to increase the budget. But at this time, it's pretty well spent.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Um. Seeing no others. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the moving on to Director Wilkinson's report, Director of Community and Protective Services. Good morning. Anything to add to your report at all? Okay. Does anybody have any discussions they wanna, or questions they wanna ask, or? Uh, I guess I have one. Anything happening with the opening of the opening ceremonies of the Highway 813 bridge? Is there any date on that yet, or?
Mr. Chair, I think that it's beginning of August, but I can find out for sure. I think there's a meeting coming up here. And I can find out for sure from Jennifer some information about that and
Oh,
send it
okay.
to council.
Okay, no, thank you. Councilor Stacey.
Thank you. Through the chair, I see in enforcement services, you have 3 unsightly complaints and 2 OHV, so that's off-highway vehicle complaints. Were they in my area by chance at all?
I don't have that information.
Is that's going to be reviewed also in community standards or something, isn't it as well? Like we're going to be dealing with shoring up some of those unsightly premises as part of our strategic plan, I assume, correct?
The community standards bylaw is under review currently.
Okay.
Sort of our current plan is once later in today's agenda is the enforcement level of service.
Great.
Once committee of whole has reviewed that and we're able to have council pass a level of service, then we thought that it coupled well with bringing the community standards bylaw to council after that.
Okay, no, that's great. I just didn't know if it was going to be showing up later or should I mention it now, but appreciate it. Thank you.
Brave Holland.
Thank you very much. Just noticed here that June is Commercial Vehicle Safety Month and officers will be working with provincial partners on commercial weights and dimensions. There's some concern that was brought forward, and I know it's not our jurisdiction, but just curious if there's going to be any collaboration on the bridge going across the Athabasca. There's a weight restriction on it now, and apparently it's not being monitored very well. So I was just wondering if we've been brought in to help with that.
I can certainly ask that question. If there's a concern, we would work with our partners for sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect. Just a comment I'd like to throw out there on underneath, what is it, page 52, looking at the new dwellings year to date and all that. That's great information and it's very great to see. Building houses in Athabasca County is what we very much like to see. So thank you for that information. And all of it's very good. Any other questions by council? Great, thank you very much. Next, Director Morton, Director of Infrastructure Services, good morning. Hopefully we'll get some sun today. Yeah, and yes, any Anything to add to your report at all?
Yeah, I think most of council had seen the email that Reeve Holland sent out where we were successful on getting some STIP funding for 3 of the bridges that or bridge pipes that we had submitted. That's pretty good getting 3 out of the
Oh, yeah.
5. So yeah, that's huge for us.
Yeah, great work on that, because I know it's tough. It's tough to get funding. And even if we can get it through STIP, that's awesome. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question on page 66 on under bridges, so to speak. I was just wondering, just being clear, were these budgeted or were they also under STIP, the 4 bridges?
They were, excuse me, through the chair, they were budgeted in their capital as if we would get STIP funding, which we always budget that way. And then if we don't get the STIP funding, we just don't move forward with it. So yes, they were in, as far as they should be in capital. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Another. Counselor Stasiak?
Couple of questions. I had read some of the emails that were coming in and there was some comment on the quality of the gravel supply that we got this year that had some coal or something like that in it. Do you have any comments on that? Like did somebody approve the specs or sign off on that? Or was there coal in it? Or is there anything we should know?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, there's coal in it. It's dark. But it was all tested. It did meet our spec, or the provincial spec. Sorry, it's not ours. And yeah, there's some coal in it, but you know, it'll break down and blow away. But we'll see how it functions. But it was all tested and by an engineering firm. It wasn't tested by our staff. It was consultant who tested it.
My thoughts on the issue, though, are we weren't really planning, at least not me, planning on buying coal. And I think it has weight to it, and we're paying by the ton. And are we buying coal and using it as gravel? Or is there some sort of wouldn't say compensation on it, but what percentage are we thinking here? Is it a lot or just minimal? I know I understand what you're saying about it meeting specs, government specs, but I'm not sure because it wasn't privy to us, to council, as to what the specs really were. Like, did we actually decide on what we expected? I do recall people talking that we didn't want silt. And so I thought, okay, well, we're looking for a premium type of quality here. And then we end up with coal, which diminishes the premium word. And I'm thinking, what percentage are we looking at here? Is it substantial enough that we should either be looking at perhaps some sort of refund from the supplier or maybe something? I don't know. What's your thought on it?
The standard specifications have been met. Is there that much coal in it where it's going to impact the performance of the aggregate? We don't think so. Even the gravel portion of it is darker than what we have. So you're going to look at it and it's going to be a darker gravel. If we were that concerned about it, we would have already dealt with it. But
Okay.
I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
We have a 3-year contract that we've entered into with this supplier. And so we'll be monitoring the performance of the aggregate this year. But at this point, I'm not sure it's an issue.
So he hasn't supplied the whole 3-year supply yet. It's every year he's going to supply some of it. Okay, thank you for that. I got one more question. I also, again, on the email side of things, I'm seeing a lot of discussion and chatter about ratepayers not having their calls returned. And is there any way that we can shore that up and at least phone these people back, promptly, I would say, and at least satisfy them that they're being heard and not ignored? Because there was some pretty firm, I'll call it firm, comments on our email that suggested that people have been waiting for a couple of weeks or a couple of months in one case that never got a response. And I thought, well, maybe it never came to you. I don't know. I'm just asking for your thoughts on if there is a way that we can kind of tighten that up a little bit and at least call them. I understand we can't be at everybody's location all the time. That's a given for sure. But at least calling them back would be, I think, showing some due diligence and understanding of their concern, and that kind of comforts them somewhat.
Through the chair, we noticed the same thing. So we've had discussions internally with our staff that the importance of returning the calls. We understand that they're difficult conversations to have, but they get more difficult when they're ignored. So we've had that conversation quite recently about the importance of getting back to people in a timely manner. Some people want you to return their call immediately. That's not going to happen. We have a lot of things going on, but yes, we need to be responsive. And we've had that communication internally.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Councillor Chamzik.
Through the chair, I had a conversation the other day with one of our past contract gravel haulers, and I just need some clarity for myself and perhaps new council members. I have 4 questions. Is there going to be an increase for gravel haul and fuel surcharge? Do you want to answer them now, or do you want me to go through them all?
Through the chair, if you had a list of questions like that, it would have been great to have it before today's meeting so I
Yeah,
could
well, I
prepare,
just-
but yes, there will be a surcharge, and we're using the Alberta Road Builder amendment that was sent out as council has previously approved Alberta Road Builder rates. We're going to apply that same rate to our haul. So we'll still do the tone mile rate, but we'll apply the Alberta Road Builder amendment for fuel surcharge.
And yeah, I apologize for that. I just had that phone call last night. Otherwise, I would have emailed them out in advance. And by all means, I'm just, we have so much on our plates and trying to remember everything. It's, quite taxing at times. I think you kind of answered that. From my understanding, we have 2 different rates for short haul and long haul. And how does that work is one of the other questions I have as well.
Through the chair, it's dependent on haul distance. So, if you're under 7 miles or over 7 miles, there's a difference, and it's to do with load factors.
And that's what I was wondering, if there was a threshold of kilometers, miles, whatever. And the other questions I have we struggled to attract operators with our rates? And also, are we for sure ensuring that we're adjusting for inflation correctly?
Through the chair, I guess in short, we are struggling for trucks. There's not as many as there used to be locally. So that's one issue. I think a lot of people held off on registration this year because we hadn't announced that there would be a fuel surcharge. And the fuel surcharge to me it's difficult. So if I come to council and I say I need a fuel surcharge, you approve it, and then prices plummet. Now we're paying over and above what the market should be. So the reason we went with the one we have is that, if fuel prices drop, we can take that off. The rate is still the same. We're just applying an hourly rate to cover off the fuel. We can take that off at any time if fuel prices drop. But yeah, I would suggest that some people were holding off to find out if we were gonna do something for fuel. And we had waited because, you know, the rumors were that prices were gonna come back down, and they have somewhat. And I'm sure they'll continue to as the war ends over in the strait. But yeah, there's not as much trucking as there used to be locally. And last year we had to hire people out of Westlock to even get enough crews to do our big spreads.
And to be clear, yeah, we're definitely seeing that on the local end of things, that there is a lot less trucks.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your information very much. Thank you.
Perfect.
Fine.
Mr. DeHollick.
Couple of questions. Dust control. Yeah, no, are we gonna wait to a certain period and they say, no, we're not doing it for the rest of the year? Or we can't do dust control in September or or end of August, I guess.
I guess that would be up to count. I would say we probably don't want to do it in September, but we're pretty hopeful we're gonna have time to do it in July. And yeah, people still are gonna want it in July and August, right? So if the only, I guess, benefit of not starting yet is that if it hadn't been on the ground already through this, that investment would probably be lost. Once we get through this wet period that we seem to be stuck in, and we start the dust control, it'll be in pretty decent shape still come September, seeing that we're starting later, right? So you'll see benefits at the tail end of it more so. And right now, nobody's really upset about dust control because we get it every night. So
Okay, secondly, gravel, have we been looking at some gravel, or are we gonna be crushing some gravel? You know, what state are we at with the gravel, or are you too busy, or? You want me to do it?
you know, if you can come up with the money for the gravel, I'd be grateful. But no, our primary focus has not been on looking at gravel in the last 8 weeks. We're kind of swamped with other things, but in the short term, we are covered off with a 3-year supply through a tender that we put out previously. So, you know, between that and using local suppliers to help us, you know, through the spring damages, we should be okay this year. And, you know, we still have product in our other pit. So we have a little bit of time. But yeah, it will be a focus moving forward on trying to, you know, identify potential sources and to try and lock up some of those sources. And, you know, we just finished with Lotsburg property, so we purchased that. And so we have a gravel source there. Actually, that probably occurred before the election, so you might not even know about that one. But so we do have some supply locked up for the near future. But our focus now needs to be long-term future so that we have, you know, enough that this municipality is going to need for a long time.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Cheeson.
Morning, Director Martin. Just back to the desk program. I did send an email that one resident in the Skeleton Lake was concerned about the gravel not being there, and then us putting the calcium down would not be beneficial, but I've had more complaints as well with that. So can you respond so people just know that what the plan is, like with the dust control? And they don't want this product coming down if there's no gravel, because that's not beneficial as well. And I know you're talking about graveling more, but that's another concern that people have. They're happy that gravel is being put down, and that's one of the priorities, but they're a little concerned that we're just gonna lay it down and no maintenance is gonna be done. So I think if we talk about it, at least people can maybe not be so upset with all the stuff that's happening. So thank you.
Well, we're starting dust control down Division 1, I believe, is where we're starting. So those dust controls have been gravelled already. And the crews are systematically going around graveling where the proposed dust control is going. You know, if those ones haven't been gravelled yet, they're probably later on in the program. But if it needs gravel, they'll get gravel before the dust control goes down. Some people's opinion of whether it needs gravel or not is maybe different than ours. But ultimately, we will evaluate them, and if they need gravel, in our opinion, it'll get it, and if not, it won't. So. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but we're doing a lot of graveling for dust control right
Good.
now.
Okay.
So, you know, internal roads, I mean, inside subdivisions, you know, they'll be assessed and decide whether it needs gravel or not. But there's a lot of gravel going down for dust control.
So if we have somebody in these subdivisions that are concerned about the gravel and want to talk to somebody, who can they talk to?
Well, we have Public Works that looks after the program. I've passed those concerns on. I've asked the staff to assess it, and I don't know if they spoke with the individual or not. I haven't asked directly, but you can always phone Public Works and talk to them about it, or myself. Yeah, I don't think we go out and put dust control on muddy roads. I don't think we have a habit of doing that. But
I don't know that,
I could be wrong.
I'm just voicing concerns here.
Mhm.
So I want you to know the concerns too. So at least you're not blindsided by,
Yeah.
you know, something. So, you know, that two-way communication, right? Again, the issue with Public Works, given the phone, like telling people to phone Public Works, they're so frustrated because they don't get a response. And when they do phone back, the poor receptionist or whoever's answering the phones of Public Works, she can't give any updates. So I feel really bad for her. She's probably getting not so nice phone calls. So I wish that somehow we could get a program in that where, you know, there was a response that people would at least settle down and not be as frustrated as they are. Because again, communication helps with the frustration, right?
Yep.
So,
I think that news release or newsletter that went out regarding the road systems and that probably helped a bit. I know in that line of work, people want phone calls returned and stuff like that, and a lot of it they just want to be heard, right? And that's the big part of it, right? So I know it's on both ends. It's tough. It's very tough, but
And
the phone
through
call, the return of the phone calls is very, very important.
through the chair, I mean, I'm not defending the lack of return of phone calls. We've spoken about it very recently. So, you know, hopefully that improves. It needs to. But they're wore down too. They have taken a pile of abuse over the last little while. And that's not an excuse, but you know, the public has a right to, you know, be concerned with some of the conditions that are out there. And we're doing what we can to try and improve that. But they're not whipping boys either. So they don't need to tolerate some of the abuse. But either way, we do need to respond and try and deal with people's concerns. So we'll deal with trying to improve that.
Perfect. I'll is it okay if we break for a minute? We got Mrs. Woods here to give us as the delegation. So if you don't want to run away, please don't. Because I do believe there's a couple more questions. So, but we'll put that on pause for right now if everybody's okay with that, and we will invite Mrs. Woods up to regarding the FCSS report. Welcome. Thank you for coming in to give us your report and everything. And I'm just going to speak up here and say I don't really think we need to introduce ourselves, do we? I'm pretty sure that everybody here knows everybody. So, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. So I think it was attached in the package. So every year we do an annual report based on the January to December stats for us that can go to all of our municipalities and our partners. So this is what was presented for this year. Okay, Leah, what do I do with this? Angela. I am not good with technology, just saying, just the arrow. Okay. So yeah, we give some highlights. For this year, we did have 2 more municipalities for 2025 that came on board. Sure. Krista's going to run it for me. So now we actually have 10 municipalities that are part of our agreement. So part of that municipal agreement is that they sign on with the province that we will provide their FCSS services. Our whole range of services, some of those do not fit in FCSS. So it's a little complicated. We have other funding sources too, but basically our MOU with the municipalities say that they will give us their 20%. All of them do or contribute. The province gives us 80%, and we provide them with the services that fit with the FCSS framework. So we had the deputy minister visited us last year. Lisa Sadownik was out here to talk about our FRN. And of course, you've all seen some emails about that since then. We did get conditional approval. We're working on the agreement. Our current agreement ends at the end of June, at the end of this month. And I think the next one is supposed to be for 2 years. We're just working on that schedule, but we did finally get a letter from the minister saying we have been approved, not necessarily at the same level we asked for funding. So we've got some changes to make, but we have had approval. Our community barbecue, I'll leave that for later when we have some pictures in there. We appreciate that our council and our advisory board our council representatives and our rest of our advisory board are able to take part in some of the meetings that are hosted every year. So we have one Northeast Regional, and then we have our annual meeting in the fall. And right now, from our local board, we have Darlene Reimer was reappointed to the provincial FCSS AA board again. So for our regions, so she's there. Community partnerships, I guess I just want to highlight the Social Impact Lab. If anybody hasn't tried out the new kiosks, they are called Archie, Athabasca Regional Community Help and Information. So it's and events. So there's kiosks. One is at the multiplex, one is at the library, and that was a community project. The town is the one that is housing the funding for that one, and it's connected to our local community events calendar. So if you get a chance to go on it, it has services, events, and just contact information that people can go online and see what's available. That kind of come out that there was a lack of a centralized place if people were trying to access services that they could find out about it. So that's what's come up out of there. Our current board, so we do have an advisory board. So of course we have our 2 new members this year. So we have Councillor Stashik and Councillor Callahoo have joined us, and Councillor Chamzik as our alternate. We also have a rep from Town Council, which is Darlene Reimer, and then Village Council, we have Barb Smith, and she chairs our committee, and then we have members at large. So we have 3 from the county and 2 from the town. So 2026 didn't start out well. We had unfortunately lost Wendy McLean, which was very sad, and then had a new member join. So the list is there. And then I guess our other services as being part of the municipality, not necessarily with FCSS, is our ESS role. And we had our staff help during the 831 fire. So notes, a lot of what's happening this last year, there are a lot of increases in phone calls coming in, trying to do information referral, trying to assist clients and people from the public to access services. And that was part of my discussion with MLA Sear last week, was the change in how services are being delivered and how they've been centralized. There's a lot of now people cannot meet in person. There's a lot of phone numbers that they have to use or computer, and that's not necessarily meeting the needs of our vulnerable population. And because they can walk in our door and get help, we have more and more people coming in. With the new FCSS framework, they are really stressing what our role is and what our role isn't. It's really hard to step back when we need to, though, because people don't necessarily have somewhere else to go. So we continue to speak out about that. Our MLA, Mr. Van Dyken, has my speech memorized, I think, from the last couple of years. So now I share that with MLA Sear as well. So, and I'll continue. So our programs specifically, we have our family school liaison program, and actually they just presented to our advisory board at our last meeting last week. And this is a partnership with Aspen View. So we have 2 staff that go to all the schools within our area, and they work one-on-one with the kids. So it's at that prevention level. So they're helping with social skills. They're helping with, they may even coordinate with the family for that as well, so that the family is aware of how to support the kids to build those skills. And then they also do some small group work, and they work closely with the school staff. So our 2 staff this year, the change we made last year was they had requested a change to their schedule to try and coordinate it with the school schedule, which allows them a little bit more time off. So both our staff have gone down to a 0.9, which means during the school year, they're full-time, and then their breaks are during school break, and they'll have 5 weeks off during the summer. So when they presented at our advisory board, that was stressed a couple of times how much they were looking forward to that time off. So that's part of that, making sure that our staff is taken care of and are well. Seniors Advocate. So that is, if anybody hasn't gotten to ever talk to Kim Lewis about her services, she's very passionate. She just did the senior symposiums in Boyle and in Athabasca. So another successful year. She does the Care for Caregivers, which is a support group for people that are taking care of a family member that may have dementia, Alzheimer's. And she actually it's once a month, and she has a fairly large group. She went from using our small counseling room to now using our family center when she hosts it. So it's going very well, and she is very busy doing a lot of those government forms or assisting, and we're sure, we were just talking this morning, that's going to increase because with the new announcement about the $100 rebate and people having to go online to a portal for that will greatly increase her work. So the bonus there is we have an awesome admin support. So Cheryl Andrews has been assisting Kim with the symposium. She's also learning a lot of the forms and is able to support if Kim's not there or if Kim's busy, because some days there's a lineup. Our Meals on Wheels this last year, so we work together with Pleasant Valley Lodge here and the Villa in Boyle. Here we've taken back the coordination of the volunteers, so those are delivered by volunteers. So Cheryl's doing the coordination here in Athabasca, and we have our total number there. So for last year, how many were delivered, and 252 volunteer hours last year. And that was the program that was picked as a local donation when Wendy McLean passed away. So we do have some money there that we're trying to decide how we best help that program for that. But she was one of our very dedicated volunteers. So her family had had chosen that. So our mentorship program, we had a slow start last year because of the strike and everything else that went on last fall. It got up and running, and they actually ended up with a very large number. They served 32 mentees with 31 mentors. We have a seasoned mentor who he was willing to take on 2 last year. So that will come up again in the fall. So if you know of anyone, we take grade 11, 12 students as well as adults to match with grade 3 or grade 4 student. And we continue to have that discussion about whether we can expand that to Boyle as well. We've talked about just using it with the students. So that'll be a conversation that we continue to have with them. We have our community, there's our pictures on our community and protective services barbecue. This year, please put it in your calendar. It is Friday, August 28th. It'll be in conjunction with the Alberta Days celebration. Candace had applied for a grant and we were successful, so it will be bigger and better this year. So we would love to have everybody attend. So watch for more details on that one. And there's a lot of other services that are there, and we've been very fortunate. Both years we've had beautiful weather, so hopefully we do this year as well. So this is our Northern Lakes Family Resource Network slide. We will see some changes. They've changed the name of the services. They've changed a bit of the focus. We will now be focusing a bit more on youth, and by youth they've added the age group of 18 to 24. So we're figuring out what that looks like. Our current staff will continue on, but they will have different roles. We'll have different programming that will go on, as well as our location will change a bit. Calling Lake was in our previous agreement and will not be in the upcoming one. And Lac-La-Biche FCSS had been a part of our network for the last agreement. They have not applied to be part going forward. So it will be ourselves, Healthy Families, Healthy Futures, and the Lac-La-Biche Native Friendship Center that will make up our network. So we'll be updating all of that for July 1st once our agreement's there and we know exactly what the services look like. But that's the one that does a lot of the events with the age 0. We have one area of 0 to 6. Then we have the 7 to 17 with our family schoolies or with our family wellness. They will now take on that youth portion as well. So we're looking at, and then there will be some specific youth programming. We just want to make sure we're not duplicating what's already there, but that we're filling the gaps and working with those other areas. So in a way, it's exciting. In a way, it's a little scary, though. We'll figure it out. Our home alone and babysitter safety continues to be offered, and that's through our family center as well. And we do it here, but it's also done in Boyle. And if there's a request, she will travel to the outlying communities to provide that. So that's just that, keeping the kids safe if they're home alone, or teaching them what to do if they are providing childcare. So family wellness goes right into the homes or in the office or in the community based on the client's comfort level. I guess they're now going to be covered. They've even changed that name. They will now be recipients of our services, and they do a lot of work to help build that home situation, build skills, make it resilient, and make safe home. This is the most involved and the highest level of services that we do. So this is one that does not fit with FCSS. This programming is early intervention. So when we do our annual report for FCSS, this is not one of the ones that fits with that framework. It is strictly Family Resource Network funding, which of course comes from the Ministry of Children and Family Services. So then we have the stats that we used from our annual FCSS report. So for January to December last year, there will be a new reporting system. Next year, they're focusing on some different outcomes and streamlining a bit of what types of services we provide and what we report on. So they do want it to fit with the provincial priorities. And then there's some strategies, and then there's outcomes. So we're all working on figuring out what that'll look like for next year. But We have a wonderful staff who are very qualified, who are very dedicated. And when you look at the results, the community has been very receptive. And then the last page is just some of those areas that we've been involved with for partners, initiatives, groups we may meet with. These are the groups that are around the table as well for our interagency that meets five times a year that we chair. And you know, it's that regular communication of trying to make sure that we all are working together and that we're supporting the community. And like I said, it has become a little bit more complicated in the last few years with some of that centralizing of services. I'm really hoping we'll get back to more local decision making and being able to work together on a local level. But yeah, any questions?
Excuse me. Perfect. Thank you very much for this, it's very great report and understanding of what happens at FCSS. I actually have to comment on the Community and Protective Services barbecue. Last year, I came into it with 4 grandkids and they all had a great time. There was exhibits they could go in and look at. The sheriff's truck was awesome. They had a little jail in there, all this stuff, eh? You know, so.
You didn't take a dog home?
No, I got 4 grandkids. I don't need that. So, but no, it was a very it was a great event. Thank you very much for that. The other question I had is in the partnership end, I see we have everybody on board virtually except for one summer village.
They have their own agreement. So they do their agreement directly with the province and they use their funding for some programming, I guess, that they do right in the summer village.
Oh, they do.
Yes.
Okay.
But we do provide services to their residents as well, right? We don't turn anybody away, and that's the same with FCSS and FRN. If they come to us, we're providing the service. So
Yeah, and thank you for that because they are part of the community, but
yeah,
maybe we could have some discussions with them as council. So
no.
so you betcha. Okay, Councillor Chamzik.
Hi, I have 2 questions. One is, I don't know how you keep up with almost 30 different partners and initiatives. That's amazing. And it just shows the hard work that you guys do. With the new reporting structure coming up, is that going to be very administrative heavy, more so than it has been in the past?
We're hoping that the actual format of it is going to simplify it. Because right now, when they first introduced the outcomes measures, we had like a 400-page document. Now it is narrowed. It is very specific. The difference will be we'll be reporting on an outcome and several different programs might fit under that, where now we do, here's what the program is and here's what it does. So it's going to kind of reverse how we're reporting.
So that will help with, of course, one of the mandates is not duplicating services. It just helps streamline that structure of reporting as well.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I just have a couple comments. Having the opportunity to be the alternate at a meeting was amazing. I missed you guys. It was excellent meeting to be a part of. The senior symposium, I heard it was very well received once again. I would also like to thank you for all the programming that you do with the first aid services that you guys provided was top notch. Babysitting programming and all the programming was services for guardians, children, and parents. But most of all, I'd like to thank you for your advocacy, the board's commitment, and also all the programming that you guys provide. Thank you.
Reeve Holland.
Thank you so much. I'm going to echo a little bit of what was going on here, what Councillor Chamzik had said. Your advocacy is phenomenal and it's very successful. So thank you. That's a lot of work to take on, and it's appreciated wholeheartedly. I can't say enough good things about FCSS. I mean, it is amazing the amount of work that goes through that office, and you guys do it with ease. You make it look easy. Everybody comes out smiling, you know. Well done.
Thank you.
Stacey.
Thank you, through the chair. A quick question. Are you familiar with a group called 100 Women That Care?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
What is that?
So I don't know exactly what it is, but I was at a Community Futures meeting yesterday and the lunchtime chatter was sound waves were traveling and Westlock and the town of Athabasca discussed 100 Women That Care, that they are, I'm not sure whether they're a participating group in funding or participating in community events or what they do. And that's why I just thought, you know, in terms of our funding, if they participate, if they help with your programs and so on. Curious if you had heard of them, but Counselor, Dave Paholic
Oh,
was
okay.
talking about it,
Mhm.
and he'd mentioned that there is such a thing in the town itself, and I wasn't aware of it, but of course I wasn't part of that conversation either, so I was just sitting there listening to it and thought it'd be interesting to see what they do in the community here.
Yeah, no, I can reach out and see because they may be a good fit even with our interagency then, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll see
for
what I
sure.
can find out.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I heard that.
That's, I can just imagine. Okay. I want to thank you very much. Uh, go ahead, Councillor
If I can
Callaghan.
think straight now, no, I just wanted to thank you guys. I'm blessed to be part of your board and, I've always known about FCSS just because of my previous employment and whatever, but getting to be a part of it and seeing firsthand, on just how proactive and the positive impact you, make in our community. So once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And again, thank you very much. Great job by everybody over there. I've had the pleasure of working with you also at the same time, and yes, you guys do a phenomenal job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we're gonna take a break right now until 10:30, just for the next delegation there, and then yeah, it's like, okay, 10:30. We'll continue on our next delegation to the Alberta Hub Skyways Project. Thank you for joining us. I will start by introducing myself, Rob Binns, Deputy Reeve, Division 8, Baptiste Lake Island Lake area, and go to my right.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Welcome. I'm Tracy Holland, Reeve of Athabasca County, as well as Counselor for Division 5, which is east of Athabasca. So that includes our airport, as well as Amber Valley, Parkview, Paxton areas.
Thank you. Welcome. Ken Stasiuk, Division 1, down in the Rochester area, Perryville as well.
Good morning, I'm Councillor Callahoo, elected in Division 9, so north of the river area.
Welcome, Division 7, Kelly Chamsick, Grassland, Atmore, Prospita areas.
Good morning, Lucille Chisholm, Division 3, so I represent Boyle, Caslin, the L Scout area.
Good morning and welcome, Jack DeHolick, Division 6, which is the Alpac Wandering River area.
And joining us throughout the room is Ms. Kazimirchuk from Communications Coordinator, Miss Leah Blair, Recording Secretary. Behind there, I think you have met Miss Jernish, Miss Percy, Miss Kirkpatrick you have met, and then Director Wilkinson. And that's all I know. So,
That's a lot.
and go ahead and introduce yourselves, please, and proceed with the presentation.
Well, thank you very much. And Deputy Reeve, and I appreciate that. And I hope there isn't a test later today because I will fail on all the locations. And Reeve, I'm kind of glad that the airport is in your division. So that's a nice lead in. My name is Bob Bespalko. I'm the Executive Director of Alberta Hub, the Regional Economic Development Alliance of Northeast Alberta. And of course, we're very proud to have Athabasca County as a member of Alberta Hub. There are 9 REDAs, Regional Economic Development Alliances across Alberta. And not to start off with bad news right from the beginning, but our members need to know, we are entering our last year of funding, operational funding from the government of Alberta. We are under the Ministry of Jobs, Economy, Trade, and Immigration, and Minister Scal, prior to him, Minister Jones decided, hey, Ritas, you got to run on your own. So we're going through a bit of a transition right now. As the Reeve and Council knows, we've increased our per capita because for the last 11 years, we didn't increase our per capita, and that's on me in doing that. But regardless, the board and the membership see the value in working together, and the project that we're here to talk today about will hopefully emphasize that point. Also joining me today, Dan Julin with, oh, go ahead, Dan, introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Dan Julin. I am representing Alberta Hub member Arium Analytics. It's a drone services company based out of Calgary that does extensive work in this region and to the north in the oil sands. I'm a drone consultant, mostly working in the regulatory environment. Some of the other hats I wear is chair of the regulatory committee for Canada's National Drone Association, Aerial Evolution Association of Canada, and I'm heading up the Autonomous Robotics Subcommittee for the Alberta Aviation, Aerospace and Defense Council. So I think that
well, that covers it.
that covers it. Yeah.
It's great working with experts. To start off with, of course, Alberta Hub focuses on high regional impact projects that benefits all members to one degree or another. And right now we're sitting approximately 50 members, 35 municipalities, 4 First Nations, 3 Métis settlements, colleges, Lakeland and Portage. I do have it on my list to speak with the Athabasca University for their interest because they work very closely with Lakeland and Portage. There's a cluster there. And of course, we have business and industry, Arium Analytics, that who Dan is representing, that because it is business and industry that pays taxes, hires people, and basically makes our communities, increases our quality of life. So working with business and industry is very critical. I'm trying to advance the slide, but I can't do that. Maybe you be the technical guy? Leah, if we could advance that slide one. Oh, there we go. Basically, right there is a map of Alberta Hub. We cover 10 counties, over 55,000 square kilometers. And of course, the boreal forest, parkland, and the prairie geography is what we cover. And that pertains to this project that we're here to talk about today. The three core mandates of Alberta Hub is enabling investment, community capacity building, and business support. We don't work in a silo. We do work with organizations like Community Futures and Chambers that are very critical in getting the word out. Of course, my job, I do work very closely with Jen, and I want to thank Jen for inviting me here today and speaking to this project. And I do also want to thank Jen because Jen, being a true Athabascan, is that how we say it? Her passion for her community is second to none. And it's been a pleasure working with Jennifer. I know she knows her stuff. I don't know if she knows her stuff. But again, Reeve and Council, I want to say it's been a true blessing. And of course, Councillor Chisholm, who represents Athabasca at the Alberta Hub table on the board. I've known Lucille now for more years than we kind of want to say. But your dedication, Lucille, thank you so much. Moving on, next slide. We're going to jump into the UAV project. Of course, everybody's heard about UAVs, drones, as they're also called, and drones are disrupting every industry. Right now, Apex is using drones to monitor their pipelines. ATCO is using drones to monitor their grid. It's very important to remember we have the drone itself, that technology is always advancing, but then the technology that goes on the drone. And whether that's for detecting forest fires or weeds in your field. So there's a lot happening. And when I referred to the boreal forest, the prairie, the parkland that we cover, we have what drone companies are looking for testing their drones. Dan could probably tell us the story later. He's worked with companies that have come up to our region to test their drone in our weather in the wintertime, and the results weren't the best, which caused those companies to go back and say, hey, look. So we offer all that. The slide that's up, oil and gas is using drones. Imperial Oil have their own drone fleets right now for inspecting their facilities. Everybody's aware of all the smart ag happening going through. We are focused on drone delivery right now because oil companies and other companies are looking to start moving freight by drones. Construction companies, services, monitoring, like I said, and right now we have in our region, St. Paul Emergency Services. They are using drones when people get lost, and they've been very successful. So drones are coming in and disrupting and taking away what we're calling that dull, dirty, dangerous work. So humans aren't involved, safety. It's predicted that manned helicopters won't be around within the next 5 years. They would be autonomous vehicles. And on a side note, when I spoke to CAE, who's supporting the F-35s coming into Cold Lake, they don't need a pilot to fly that plane. That is an autonomous vehicle right now. So that's how fast things are moving along. Flip the slide there, young feller. Why our region? I do believe UAV friendly municipalities is what we have. I know there's a lot of questions about drones that I've been hit. I've made delegations like, hey, is this drone buzzing me? What is the purpose? So the majority, if not all our communities are very friendly towards drones, but there are questions that need to be answered. And that's what we need to do. The ease of access to fly drones, they cannot believe that they could walk out of their facility here in our area and fly the drone because we have the wide open spaces. Yes, protocol has to be maintained. All the paperwork has to be signed because right now in the larger urban centers, they don't have that opportunity. Lower operating costs. And of course, we have an excellent supply of skilled labor. And to be honest with you, any kid that grew up playing video games, they got transferable skills that they could fly that drone probably better than anybody else. So exactly. And of course, proximity to potential clients. And keep in mind, folks, the world has changed. They're looking at the north now, the Arctic, and they are looking for drones. So we have that natural connection between the US, through Canada, through Alberta, up through the Northwest Territories and accessing the market. So we play a pretty important part. And one cool thing about Athabasca, you are centrally located, whether it's going to the east side of Alberta or the west or further north, you are in a great location. Next slide. It's always weird that you can do it and I can't. There you go. I think a red light. Young lady, if we can move that one more. We were doing so well. There we go. I never thought during my lifetime that I'd actually like to promote -40 as a attraction. But that's the kind of weather conditions they're looking to fly their drones. So this is very important. And I've already spoken to the terrain that we have. So from an applied research point of view, we check off a lot of boxes. Keep clicking there. Basically, the main reason we're laying the foundation for a drone-friendly ecosystem beyond visual line of sight. It's very important to know that, and Dan will speak to it in greater detail, the regs are changing. We work very closely with Transport Canada and NAV Canada. Right now, you can't fly a drone further than you can see it. Once it's out of sight, you got to land it, catch up, or chase the vehicle. However, there is another company we're working with called Air Market. They just became an Alberta Hub member, and they are in the remote traffic management system where detect and avoid. We've already done test flights from the village of Andrew to St. Paul. And the last flight that we took, the drone flies at 400 feet. It detected a bogey. It did its protocol. It circled. It went down to 300 feet. The bogey disappeared. The drone goes back up and continues its flight. So that stuff and Air Market, that's the space that they play in. BV loss, it's all about making sure everything is safe and how the drones can and the technology can support industries and increasing productivity. Next slide. We did finish phase one. We were lucky enough to get funding out of the SCOP program through Alberta Ag. And we wanted to know the present environment of how drones are being utilized now, access to operational economic viability, and corridors. So we have created routes for drones to fly. And again, Dan will go into more of that. And also we developed a detailed set of go-forward recommendations. One thing that's very important to know, I work with 10 airports in the Alberta Hub region. And if I'm not mistaken, they're not revenue generating right now. They're either subsidized or they're draining communities' resources. This offers an opportunity to utilize and actually generate revenue to your airport when companies come in, either they want to lease space or establish operations, and it brings in taxation. Air Market set up monitoring stations at 7 of our airports. Unfortunately, Athabasca Airport didn't participate in that one, but hey, no problem. We get current data from NAV Canada, how many flights come in, and understand that. But it's very important to recognize what is happening at your local airport and monitoring that traffic so crewed aircraft and uncrewed aircraft can fly the same. Needless to say, there are people within flying clubs that they don't see this as a positive. But I think it's mainly due to they have questions and we just have to supply the answers for them, because there is going to come a time when crewed and uncrewed aircraft is flying together in the same airspace. There are certain corridors, everybody following the rules, and of course the communication between one crewed aircraft and an uncrewed have to be there. So there are concerns, and that's why it's very important for public engagement. Next slide. And probably that's the one that's not, oh, there you go. Is that mine or is that your slides now? Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Dan from here.
Okay, so for phase one of the project, we're just going to do a quick technical. I'm not going to go too deep because we can rabbit hole pretty easy on this. So the Skyways project, it aimed to identify the opportunities and impact of implementing this ecosystem for the entire hub region, right? So it's not just the individual communities. It's great if a drone can take off somewhere, but if it has nowhere to land, right, it doesn't do a lot of good, especially on the delivery side, right? So we have to look at this on a regional basis establishing places not only for the drone to fly, but to take off from and land at. So we did that. The ecosystem, of course, we as part of the study, we did look at vertiport design recommendations. The good news is there's a bunch of other jurisdictions that are ahead of us. So they've already started looking at this sort of thing. So there's plenty of documentation out there on what does a vertiport need to look like for a community. And of course, it's dependent on the needs of the community, right? In some cases, it could be something that resembles a mini airport with hangars all over the place and all kinds of developed spaces. In other cases, it could literally be a tarp Quonset hut, a sea can, and a power station, right? Like it really depends on the specific use case for the community. Then, of course, we got the routes for point-to-point drone deliveries. One thing of note on this, we intentionally stopped all of the routes 3 kilometers from town. And the reason for that is we need community buy-in to connect the community to the route, especially the closer you get to the community, the more that there's a risk of the drone annoying somebody or it inadvertently flying over something that somebody has a problem with. So getting that community buy-in so we can start the discussion, do more engagement with the community to get that buy-in is needed. Of course, we also made some recommendations for the infrastructure, not just the ground infrastructure, but the digital infrastructure that's going to be needed to support this. So that's what Bob was alluding to, the UTM system. That's basically, that's air traffic control for drones, right? We also did an impact study looking at job creation and even things like how many vehicles are we actually going to be taking off the roads, right? Why is this important? Our roads will last longer if there's fewer vehicles driving on them, right? The roads will be safer because there'll be less congestion and all of that. The last one there, a lot of technical stuff in there, the digitalization of the JARIS-SORA process. The JARIS-SORA process JARIS is the Joint Authority on Rulemaking for Unmanned Systems. It's a multinational consortium of professionals that are all looking to set international standards. Canada has adopted the SORA, which is the Specific Operations Risk Assessment Model for de-risking drone operations. And so we used that model to facilitate the development of the corridors. So how it works, like I said, we're not going to dive deep into the GIS side of things, but in general, didn't like that. So how it works, we've got layers of stuff that we don't want to fly over, right? People's houses. We don't want to fly near cell towers. We don't want to fly over towns. We've also got, if this is going to work, stuff that we would prefer to fly over, pipelines, water bodies, train tracks, open fields, that sort of thing, right? And so what we did is we put big buffers around the stuff that we didn't want to fly over, right? And we tuned the model so that it would favor things like pipelines, transmission corridors, and that sort of thing. So this is a little tiny screenshot of the buffered areas. As you can see, we actually leveraged in ArcGIS, we leveraged a machine learning model to identify every single occupied building in the hub region. There's over 35,000 individual features that we were able to find. And we put 500-meter buffers around all of them, right? The reason for that is every single drone delivery project that has ever happened to date has shut down in 12 to 18 months, especially if it's in a urban environment, from lack of stakeholder buy-in, people getting annoyed of the drones buzzing around, right? So we figured, let's put a wide buffer around all the farms. We've got so much space, we can buffer all of the farms by 500 meters and still find routes through that mess. And as you can see, we were quite successful even in areas like St. Paul, where there's little farms dotting all over the place. So we now have all of these routes, approximately 1,600 kilometers of corridors, each corridor stopping, like I said, about 3 kilometers away from town. We've done some test flights from the village of Andrew to St. Paul. That route in particular works. We are looking to do more of these test flights. We would love to do a test flight on the Athabasca to Lac La Biche route. That would be a fantastic corridor to test out. But eventually, we actually want to prove out every single corridor, which in and of itself is something that could be commoditized. So what is next? Well, we've proposed kind of a two-element process. One is to do more stuff in the area that we already have corridors, right? So that's our going deeper element. We want to actually establish proof of concept, routine delivery. Maybe it's between Athabasca Hospital and Lac La Biche Hospital. That medical is a huge market. The routine delivery of medical supplies, medication, even blood products and that sort of thing. On the going wider part, we basically want to take what we did in phase 1 of the project and expand it to the entire Eastern Alberta Trade Corridor, which will effectively open routes from the Montana border all the way up to the Arctic Circle. So for phase 2 of the project, we are looking at covering something about the size of the UK. It'll be the only one of its kind. Most of the other established drone corridor routes are single routes, no more than 300 or 400 kilometers. This is something unique. This has never been done before, and we think it's something special. So Skyway's 2 project teams so far. Some of the names on there you probably recognize, some of them you probably don't. HM Aero, I wanted to point out, they do a lot of infrastructure plans and stuff for airports themselves. Of course, BB Loss Inc. is the operator of the Foremost range, which would fall inside of the new project area. And of course, Suncor and Imperial have both taken an interest in this sort of thing. Suncor has been very forward on this. Imperial already has dock drone solutions on their Cold Lake assets, and they leverage drones extensively up at their Curl plant. So, they're low-hanging fruit. But we're at this point very open to adding on new partners, especially on the commercial side, to really see this project succeed. So, back to you, Bob.
Yeah, and again, that picture there is the drone that we flew from Andrew to St. Paul. Right now, there is, I failed to mention this, the focus is drone delivery and cargo. And it's very important to involve business and industry because it's just like a community. You want to build an industrial park along a highway. You first need to know how important that highway is. So our second phase, we are sourcing funding because we were denied ACP funding to do our second phase. St. Paul County applied on our behalf, but unfortunately didn't go through on that. There is no certified cargo drone in Canada as we speak today. Dan's been working with a company out of Latvia. They're looking to bring their drone in, and we're looking to do a planned flight, actually flying freight for either Suncor or Imperial Oil or a farm machinery dealership. Do a 20-pound payload and do it because we need to prove that this could be done safely. But it is going to be business and industry that dictates where these routes have to be. There's no sense building a route and it's not viable. So they'll look at the communities, we'll look at where the market share is, and then we take it from there. And that's for today and also for the future. It's also very important to know that every department in your administration is connected to economic development. We've already brought in these routes and we went and there was nobody living there. All of a sudden, a permit is drawn and a house is going to be built. If that's within the corridor, the planning and development department will say, hey, we're issuing a permit. Does this affect any other entity in this case, the Athabasca County? It's very critical that every one of your departments play an important role in economic development, planning and development, taxation. So what Jen does, and I know I sent another email out this morning explaining what economic developers do. They connect all the dots. They ensure that every department is aware of what's going on and ensuring everything is done safely. So I can't stress this enough, how important when you have managers meetings that everybody's sharing information. It's also important to know a community does not need an airport to participate in drones. Andrew, they have a grass strip, they can make a vertiport as long as you have all the facilities. But again, it's tying all these pieces together. The other thing I want to share is Foremost down south got $200,000 from the Ministry of Jobs, Economy and Trade for the research. The air weapons range at Coal Lake, Synovus manages that range. And if a company wanted to test it on the air weapons range, their drone, they can. They just go through Synovus and manage. So we have all the assets, what they have in Southern Alberta. What we need to do is get the government's attention and say, hey, Northern Alberta offers a lot more, because what they're doing at Foremost, we're actually taking that into real life scenarios for the points that Dan mentioned, the creation of jobs, skill sets, and the tech that is needed, offering an opportunity for our kids to get involved. It checks off every box. But again, it's important on the communications that we answer the public's concerns and provide the answers that they're looking for, that this is how it's done. And I use this analogy when I'm sitting on my patio and I hear a Cessna flying over. Well, I'll see the plane, but it's flying in a straight line. Well, the same is going to happen with a drone. If a drone, you start hearing a noise and you see a drone, well, if that drone's going in a straight line, you know it's on a route. You're going to see it and it's going to leave. Now, if that drone kind of starts to hover and starts circling, okay, we've got a different situation here. So all these scenarios. Plus, there are companies, and like Dan said, I can fly the drone right now just outside your corporate boundaries. But if there's a business that says, hey, can we get that drone to land on our lot? We have everything covered. Now it becomes a little more sophisticated. That drone will have to fly over residents, but understanding what it is. So I just wanted to mention to the Reeve Council and Deputy Reeve that we hope we have everything covered, but I know there'll be more questions. So again, thank you for your time, and I hope you found this as exciting as we did.
Thank you very much. I guess, anybody got any questions real quick to Councillor Stacey?
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. It's very exciting. I've been involved with drones myself. Actually, I got a license to fly them.
Hot damn.
But quick question, are these all horizontal land or some vertical, some horizontal? Like how would you land at a location? Say if I ordered parts and they had to land in my yard, I don't have a strip, but a vertical would land right there.
Yeah, so the majority of the drones that we're seeing that are operating in the delivery space, even in the middle mile delivery space, are VTOL fixed wing. So they do fly with wings, but they do take off and land vertically. Right.
But the other question is, who changes the battery at the other end, or what powers these things?
Yeah, so depending on the distance, you can have like that. That's kind of why we need to have the vertiports, right? In some cases, the drone can do the delivery and make it back to where it came from. Like say if it was the case of Deerland doing small part delivery to the field, not a problem. For the larger ones, that's where we do need that infrastructure, either somebody working at it who can change the batteries or fill it with fuel, depending on how far it's going and that sort of thing.
We did the technology on this last test flight. Air Market did a 6-hour flight. The drones went from Andrew to St. Paul and circled back. They didn't have to stop. So again, the technology is changing so fast on power supplies and hybrid drones and all this. It's pretty impressive. It's also important to know, if we use the Deerland example, in ag, routes aren't really needed from, say, the farm machinery dealership to a farmer, because there's no route. It's a one-time deal. How the parts got to Deerland would be through that routed system. But right now, and of course, when it comes to spraying of drones, I don't know, you want to share how many acres of
the estimates were somewhere north of 18,000 acres were sprayed last year by drone in Alberta, and about 120 acres of it was done legally.
Health Canada is they the pesticide herbicide that they give, there's a label there that says it can only be applied through a crewed aircraft until they changed uncrewed, because now the pilot that's running the drone has to be certified, has to have all his certificates. But Health Canada, and they released a notification yesterday due to the wetness that they are now suspending or making exempt that you can start spraying your fields by drone because they know farmers can't get in because it's so wet. Which tells me, Health Canada, if the weather's changing your mind that you can do it, come on. You change the regs, whether that is there's a pilot in that aircraft or not, that that stuff still can be sprayed. And there are companies right now that are stripping down Cessnas and making them autonomous vehicles and spraying. So the crop dusters, you know, the humans aren't involved in, you know, unsafe practices. So everything connects in areas like that.
I think there'll be a really uptake on spraying caterpillars right now.
Jen wants to get her license, by the way.
Yeah, I know people out west have been asking me, so, Councillor Chamzik.
So you answered some of my questions about some of those regulations. And the other question I would have is, if vertiports or whatever there, when it comes to risk and insurance with fires and those types of things, is there special insurances and stuff that you would have to have, or?
To be a vertiport operator, most likely it would fall under a standard aviation insurance. As far as the operation of the drone itself, yes, there are insurance requirements, and there are companies out there that will insure drones and insure drone operators.
Okay. Revolve.
Thank you very much for this presentation. It is extremely exciting. This seems to be, as you say, the way of the future, and it's coming fast. I find that if we don't keep up, we're just really literally left in the dust. And I think it's extremely important that we look at every avenue that we have available to us. And as you mentioned, it's prime area for something like this. So what would it take for Athabasca County to become drone friendly and move forward in participating in bringing business aboard and operating?
Well, just remember, Athabasca County isn't involved because you're a member of Alberta Hub, hence one of the roots there. Talking with Jen, you know, council not has to, but I strongly recommend. Okay, council, you set your strategic plan under economic development, and then you look at your airport. Not saying we need an airport, you know, for this to participate. And your neighboring communities like our Métis settlements and our First Nations to help them to get supplies and medical that Dan spoke to. But it comes down to having your plan. And again, working with Jen on the execution, because we've already been talking about, you know, your land, what companies we start to get that. And once Alberta Hub, pray to God, secures funding, it's important that Jen has been attending our meetings. So Athabasca County is involved, but I come back to the community and say, okay, folks, where does this sit within your strategic plan, what your priorities are, because it touches everything. And again, Alberta Hub is a grassroots organization. I go to your meetings. I listen to what's priorities and what projects. Ag is important, oil and gas, forestry, what else? And how can we apply? And again, tying in your universities and your workforce development part of it, everything comes together. And that's where Jen has been a godsend. Again, but needing direction from council. Where does this fit in? Working very closely with your stakeholders at the airport. So as things happen, everybody is made aware that internal communications is so important. So people aren't walking, well, what's happening over there? That they are aware of it. So Reeve, you're in, whether you want to be or not, you're in.
No, and that's great. You know, it's like I say, it's something that I think that as you put, people are a little leery,
Yes.
right? That, you know, and it becomes that education piece and that communication piece. And I mean, we have our fly and barbecue, and I really hope we have the ability to share some of that information at that time. But yeah, it's this is exciting, and it is the way of the future in my mind, and I hopefully we expand here. So thank you for that.
We started this project, what, 7, 8 years ago? And if advancing what we started with. It's totally changed. Companies, it's evolving constantly and it's stay up. So I'm grateful for Arium and I'm grateful for Dan. Dan is the go-to guy in Alberta, maybe Canada, when it comes to drones, and to have them here to make sure we're doing this right, because this involves 2 days ago we had a meeting. There's a company out of the States in Wyoming and North Dakota. They're already between Air Force bases transferring cargo, and they want to come up into Montana and hook into Alberta, and they're asking us, when are you guys going to be finished your Eastern Alberta Trade Corridor? Because now we're looking at cross-border. This is taking us to next level. It is freaky.
That's super exciting,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you being here today to help everybody understand it a little more and make that intriguing curiosity happen, right? So thank you so very much.
Okay, I guess thank you very much for joining us and bringing some great information and that. And if there's, I'm sure we'll be talking to Jen and then a little bit more on what needs to happen and stuff like that and where to go with it. So you betcha. Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll take a few minutes here just to break and then we'll get back into the meeting with the director's reports and that, and we'll go back to Director Morton's. Sorry to keep you on the hot seat. Sorry. Yeah, there's a few more questions. I guess if I can start with a couple, would be on page 63 under the pavement overlay tender package, and that White Gull is I've been asked by quite a few residents out there, is that cement going to be gone, or are we just covering that cement?
Mr. Chairman, it'll be a asphalt overlay over the existing infrastructure. We repaired the poor area last year. This will be a asphalt overlay of the existing,
Okay.
what's there today. So
Yeah, because I heard positive comments on that repair. So
Good.
good job on that. So you betcha. Are the engineer just regarding the the slump in that's going along the Athabasca River? Are the engineers, they're looking at doing something there, or have to move the road, or what's?
Yeah, so what we've requested, and it's Parkland Geo is who we have. So a geotechnical engineering firm. They're currently working on a proposed scope of work, complete with an estimate for us to submit to the province under the HARP emergency relief program. So that's what they're working on right now, is a scope of work, and an estimate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the scope of work will include basically repair scenario.
Okay. I noticed on, we got a public works season, will have completed 80% of the patch hole repairs. One thing I did notice is on the weekend, I was coming back from Port McMurray and I was driving down the K Road. And there's about like 2 or 3 holes on the K Road. I know we don't patch them, but if somebody could reach out to LPAC and kindly ask them to, maybe throw a little bit of patch in there, it'd be a bonus, or if some accidentally falls out of the back of a truck, because that pavement, it'd be a shame to lose it. So electrical and mechanical work at the new shop, is there a big amount of stuff that needs to be done there?
Not a big, I guess some of it is just bringing stuff up to code as far as exit signs. There was, just when you flip the light switch, there was a spark, so we're just, that was just one. It just happened to be me. I got the zap. So, we're just making sure that everything's up to par before we move in. And so some of it is associated with lighting, some of it's electrical. Nothing that we really didn't anticipate for sure. It's been vacant for a while,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, no, that's right. The last question I think I have is on under agricultural seasonal problem wildlife staff. Are we're hiring a seasonal staff for the problem wildlife end?
you know what? I'm not real sure what that one was, but I believe what we did was hired a seasonal because one is leaving, retiring in August. So we wanted them to spend time with him and learn the problem locations, transfer as much information as we can. So
That's awesome. I commend you on that, because they are a definite asset in this county, just due to the fact of our friendly furry creatures that seem to want to stop water right at our roads. So and then the only other feedback I got is regarding the gravel is people were actually asking me if it was pre-treated. So that was quite shocking, but yeah.
It's pre-treated with coal.
Yeah.
No, I actually scooped some up off the road the other day because I wanted to see it for myself. And I mean, there's the odd big chunk, but I don't know. I'm not overly concerned about it, but we'll see how it performs. This should tell us.
Do one thing I was wondering is, does Smoky Lake County use some of this stuff?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
Because the pit should be right over there, right?
Yeah, yeah, from
So-
White Earth area, I think the pit.
I know I live in Smoky Lake County, so the color of the gravel on my road is not as dark as this, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they don't use it, right?
Okay.
I'm assuming Thorhild probably has some too, because he supplies to a number of municipalities. So.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councillor Calhoun.
Through the chair to Director Morton, two questions, same topic. One, I'm just wondering how the grader operator training went on the 15th. And then on that same topic, some ratepayers have been asking the total cost of that. And I know I could go look at the budget, but what was allotted and what was spent might be two different things.
So through the chair, the grader operator training is going to cost us $21,000. What that gets us is basically two individuals. One is, they kind of alternate. One is the owner and the other is somebody that he works with. They work with each operator for a week and they travel with them. They have headsets. You'll see a vehicle behind the grader. And they're working with that operator for a week. And there's a different philosophy on how we used to blade roads versus how we should be. So it's a bit of a learning curve and it takes a while to get especially experienced operators to buy in, right? So we were all told to do it this way. Well, yeah, that's why we have lips on the shoulders and that's why we have false crowns that pound out. And that's why, all the rocks end up in the pothole and at first car that goes by, it all pounds out. So it's a different, I guess, approach to how we maintain roads. And so 21,000 will get us through three grader beats. So, so far I'm liking what I see. I had to go out and I met with them. They discussed the process and the philosophy with me. And I say, like, you got to convince us if we're going to support this. And of course I talked to my counterparts who have also went through this, right? And it's so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. So we're 3 days in, right? Started probably not out today, but they're finding gravel that you don't think's there. And so far I'm impressed with what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and I'm actually really impressed with the openness of the operators to be open to suggestions and maybe looking at a different way of doing things. And it's hard to be completely open-minded to being told to do something a different way than so I appreciate the positive approach from them as well as we look forward to. You're not going to see a difference in one blading. It's going to take a series of doing things differently over time. And we should see harder roads. We should see better shaped roads. So anyway, so far I'm happy with the training where it's going. It sounds odd to say we're bringing training in for the grader operators. It's not really that. It's a different approach to how we maintain roads. It's showing them another way. So training sounds like you're minimizing their abilities. That's not necessarily what this is. This is about a new approach to how we maintain gravel roadways.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation. I think it's important, Tom, just like that the public's aware of what it is, because they just see that one sentence. And then of course, if it's not answered, they make up scenarios, which sometimes aren't in a positive light. So thank you for explaining that. I'll pass it on.
6, 7 years ago, I got some feedback on this same thing, and exactly what you're saying is exactly what I heard also from private sources also, counties and private sources that said they were quite surprised that the seasoned operators were actually enjoying learning new techniques, new ways. It wasn't a negative. I take us back to when the M graders came out from the H's, and everybody said, "Oh, these old operators aren't going to understand how to run these new M graders with pilot valves and joysticks." Well, there's some of them that actually went on farther working instead of retiring because they enjoyed so much running the M graders. It was crazy. So just no perfect. I commend you for bringing this training in. I've been in total support of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Reeve
you.
Holland.
Oh,
Thank you so much. A couple of things, and I'll just touch as well on the new methods that are being shown to the operators, and can't thank you enough for bringing that in, because even though there's a cost for it, by the sounds of the new methods and how things will change eventually, will actually pay for itself. So for me, I think that's one hell of an investment that, when you end up paying for something that pays for itself, it's worth 10 times over. And so I'm hoping that we see more of it on a continual basis rather than just 1 year test it out. I'm hoping that it's, constant, because the more you can learn these new techniques and new methods, the refreshers are always a good thing too. So I really appreciate this opportunity that has been brought to us, and look forward to seeing the results, because I think it, like you say, it's going to be a win-win all the way around. I was just a bit confused, and I was hoping you could just clarify for me with regards to the bridges that were listed on page 66, that, as you mentioned, it was budgeted in the capital, hope to get STIP funding, but if we don't get STIP funding, they're still going ahead, correct? For these ones, they're not. So these bridge repairs that are listed here are not going. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's what I wanted. That's why I was kind of a little bit confused. Yeah.
Okay, through the chair, our bridge maintenance program is completely separate.
Okay.
Those are budgeted for. That's where we have Bridgman Services that comes in and does this maintenance for us. We're in a contract with them. That work will continue, and that would be done regardless of STIP.
Okay.
The STIP is the capital replacement of those other ones. So those capital replacements would not have occurred if we did not get STIP.
Understood. Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate the clarity on that one. And with regards to the repairs that are coming forward, will any of these bridges have to be shut down completely to do those repairs?
Yeah, there's, sorry, through the chair, there's a notice that just went out for us to close the one road for a period of time associated with that work. So definitely there will be, but there will be we'll make sure that there's an alternate access. It might be longer,
right?
But yeah, we'll figure out how access is dealt with. But yes, some of them will have to be closed while the work is being undertaken.
And those impacted will get direct communication, or they're just being asked to pay attention to the websites and the notices that may go out on Voyant Alert, or how is that being communicated?
So the Voyant alerts have gone out. I think it went out yesterday. So I'll have to check if we communicated with people that directly live there, but we can look at that for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And as we were talking about earlier, the media release for the communication that went out, I think, was extremely beneficial. And I'm not sure if there's an opportunity to do more of those, because I find the more that people understand what's happening and when it's happening, or, possibly we can't, as you know, the weather is not our friend right now. So of course, what you plan today may not happen tomorrow, et cetera, or next week for that matter. But those media releases are so incredibly important. And I hope to see more of them. I don't know how we can to do that, or whether it's a weekly or a bi-weekly or monthly, I don't really know, but I know it's very advantageous to be able to get that information out to people. And as you also mentioned earlier, abuse. And it is horrendous to see how much abuse is being, grader operators are being stopped and yelled at. And that is so incredibly inappropriate. We do have policies to protect staff from this abuse and harassment and those types of things. And I've never understood, I understand people are mad and frustrated and, all of those things, but taking it out on other people isn't going to help the matter at all. It's probably going to make it worse. And so, the patience is needed. But the abuse, it should not be tolerated. And I don't know how to put it forward to get it out there. It's not only staff that are being abused, but counselors are being abused. And it is rough to sit and take that abuse all the time. It gets very, very, it's sad. It's sad. It's, people don't want to have upset people, that people don't like seeing people upset and frustrated. We're all in the same boat. We're not, nobody is immune to what we're experiencing here, and we're not the only municipality experiencing it. And so I just want to really put a plug out to our residents who are listening. It would get a heck of a lot more appreciated from everyone if we use a little more honey when we're having that conversation with others and bringing your concerns forward. We listen to them all. We want to make sure people are heard. We want to make sure we can do the best that we can to represent and not only provide the services to people, but screaming and hollering at everyone and putting that abuse out there just should not be tolerated at all. Now, with regards to dust control, we do have a list, and that's the other thing people are saying, how come everybody else is getting gravel and we're not? Well, it's a program. It's not the summer graveling program. It's a different program. And that's something else that I'm hoping that we can get out and understand to people. One division is not getting favored over another when it comes to getting gravel. We have a current program going on for dust control. And if you don't mind, I have the list here of the order of which the dust control is. And I just want to get that out there. How it works every year, it changes. And what happens in one division this year may not be the next time they have to go down a list. So we are currently Division 1, 2, 4, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, and 3 is the order this year for dust control. I'm not sure where we're at with graveling, which division we're in at this point, but I'm hearing it's coming towards 5. With the weather permitting, of course.
Yeah, we just have to stay ahead,
Yeah.
right? We guys, and obviously, we'll get there before the dust control trucks, but yeah, there's a rotation. We do a different start in a different division every year so that, you're not always first or you're not always last. And, somebody has to be first and somebody has to be last. So, but we do rotate where we start every year. So we explain that to people. Our admin staff have the list of the rotation, how it's being done. We communicate that with everybody, and yeah, it's about the fairest way that we feel we can do it.
Absolutely. No, and I appreciate it. And I know it's been a tough year. We had a tough winter. We had a tough spring. We're continuing to have, going into what's going to be our summer season. I believe we're coming up on the longest day of the year here very quickly. And it's, unfortunate that we've had these hurdles to go over. But we just ask for people's patience and understanding that we can only do so much when we're fighting with Mother Nature, and she usually wins every step of the way. So thank you to you and your crews. I know everybody's trying to do the best that they possibly can with the conditions that we've got. There is a lot of work going on that people may not understand or see that happens behind the scenes all the time. We're being, well, why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you doing more? You just keep talking about roads. Well, the work is happening, but it's a huge county. And it's happening where we can make it happen. It might be raining here in one area of the county and not in another. And that's where concentrations will go to when the weather works. So I'm just basically putting that plea out there for people to have some patience and understanding and when you call in, please do so with some grace. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you for that. Counselor DeWallach, you want?
Yes, well, I'm glad we're hearing positive results on the grader, training and stuff. Is there an area that we can look at or monitor? Like, that I can go and have a look? I won't say anything or do anything. But,
Right.
just have a look at the results,
Through the chair, I can share those locations with you.
Okay.
I can tell you, I do not want a lineup of vehicles coming out
Right.
and inspecting and, you know, the 6,900 residents all there with you, trying to make fun of some guy. But, I can talk to you at some point and let you know
Yeah,
where you can go see the results.
Good, perfect. Thank you. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much for that no, Mother Nature will always win. It doesn't really matter, so.
I think what Jack meant is he wants to ride with the grader man so that he doesn't have a vehicle out there.
Perfect. There's no extra seats in the grader. That's the biggest thing, so.
Sitting on his lap.
Okay, any other question? Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to share with council. I know we're all under the gun right now and the community is frustrated and they have a right to be. I mean, the roads aren't great, nor are they good in some cases, but it's not just us, right? And I know that most people chalk this up to, you know, maybe a lack of maintenance or anything over time. And yes, some of that can contribute to it. There's lots of things that go into that could be contributed. But I speak to my counterparts and we have our own communication chats where we talk to each other, we share information, we share ideas and results of how things are working, right? Where we can stay, you know, I guess where we can stay on top of innovation or don't reinvent the wheel when you don't have to, and don't get buried trying something that somebody else already has done so they can tell you how it worked. But we're all in the same boat right now. And as a province wide, like people are frustrated. You know, so we're all dealing with the same thing. A number of people have poor roads right now. And none of us are going to work trying to do a bad job, right? We all want to be proud of what we do. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. And it's the same thing for every community. They all feel the same way. They all want to do a good job. And so I just want to share with council that you're not the only council that's getting beat up on. I know a lot of my counterparts, their councils are getting beat up on. So anyway, we'll get through it. And as soon as it stops raining, all we'll have to worry about is washboard and dust complaints. So
The Athabasca County has been through this many a times. And it's called a wet season and then you go into the dry season and one thing that staff and council and everybody out there's got to understand, not every road is bad. We have some very, very good roads out there that have been maintained and looked after. But you don't hear about them. It's all we get is the negative stuff and yes, it's there is some very good work going on out there and kudos to the operators that can see that. So, and staff and all of it. So, Councillor Calhoun.
Through the chair to Director Morton. I just want to say thank you for that communication and putting out that media release. I know Councillor Mins touched on it before. I think it's important that we continue getting information out there, whether our residents agree or disagree, whatever. There's always going to be negativity there. I do think that it does calm down a lot of people. If they're, you know what I mean? If they're understanding the plan, what's going to happen, because whatever the past, whatever, we can only, you know, do today and move forward from that. And I think just getting that information out there. So I hope you continue to do so. And I hope that as you do so, when people get the answers, that we won't have to shut off commenting so soon.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Anything else? It's looking like, thank you. Thank you for sitting here a little bit longer.
Thank you.
Roads are a concern, so thank you very much for that. And now moving on to page 69, Mr. Daly. Director Daly with the Finance Department. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Anything to add on your end? Okay, sounds good. Any questions from council? Oh, okay, Councillor Stasiak.
Thank you. Through the chair, on page 70, I'm looking at the accounts receivable in the utilities side, and there's 1,944 that are 120. That's 4 months past due. Was there any explanation from these people, or is it a common thing?
Through the chair, some of these could potentially be bulk water. So they have their bulk water accounts, and they replenish and then they use them. But there's no explanation. But with utilities, once they get overdue to a certain point, we can actually transfer the utilities over to their tax roll, which is generally done, I believe, after 30 days. But for this 1,944 is potentially, it could be like a few small ones. That adds up to make that 1944.
Okay.
Thank you.
I noticed actually on the next page in the accounts receivable where it says 50 of the 91 plus are less than $10. And that's kind of strange to me that just pay the $10 already instead of being on the books as receivable.
Through the chair, some of these are where there could be like a little difference gap in between when the invoices went out, and then there could have been a finance charge. So we're actually going to be in the process of looking at these. According to the policy, we can write off things that's less than $10 without bringing it to council. Anything larger, we would bring to council. So we just haven't went through them individually yet and see if their finance charges are what exactly they are, and if these counts. Some of them could be inactive now, so we would just go in and write them off. If they're still current and still using, we probably leave some of them there, just depending what status they're in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none. Oh, Revol.
I didn't get a chance earlier, but I did want to mention thank you all to all the directors for the reports that you provide on a monthly basis here that we get to see at these meetings. And again, I'll just mention to the public, if you have questions, these reports can pretty much answer so many of them. I highly recommend that people constantly check out their agendas, go onto the website. They're easy to find, and you know, there's a lot of work that goes into these, and I want to send out my appreciation, and I'm sure council will echo it on how we really appreciate all the work that you've done and how much it takes to put these out there and give us that opportunity to also ask questions. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we can go with the thanking for the leaving, going to 5.3 councillor updates. I don't know who wants to start. Councillor Calhoun, you betcha.
I'm going to shorten mine up a bit because I did have some of that conversation. We already had a Director Morton in mind. So things are starting to wind down as summer comes, right? There's a lot less meetings and stuff. We had our AGM for ARMS just this last Monday. I wasn't able to attend the last FCSS meeting, so I'd like to thank Councillor Chamzik for stepping in for me. We don't meet again until September, so I was fortunate to have my colleagues stand in for me. Obviously, we've been busy with resident concerns, mostly with the roads. we've already touched on a lot of that, so I don't need to repeat it. On the side, I've just been busy with some fire training at the Richmond Park Hall, helping organize our upcoming barbecue and get together. And July 4th, please come to the Fly-In Barbecue. I will be there flipping and serving burgers with my fire crew. So come say hello to me and I will cook you up a burger.
Perfect. Counselor Stacey.
Yeah, it's been kind of a slow month. We've been in the field for quite a bit of it, so not a whole lot of activity for me in the community itself, but on the 4th to the 7th or whatever it was, three of us attended the FCM. It was an interesting conference focused mostly on homelessness and collaboration between Indigenous communities and such. A little bit of information to bring back a little bit later as far as resolutions went, and they were all, by the way, they were all passed as within positive motion. A few of them were discussed into length with amendments that upset some and not others, but that was a good process anyway. Yesterday I attended the Community Futures AGM, which I'll be reporting on fairly soon. And other than that, summer is coming and it'll probably slow down a little bit, but still a few meetings here and there. Thank you.
Thank you. Reba.
Awesome, thank you. Since the last committee of the whole, I've been attending, it's event season. So I've been asked to do, a lot of drop-ins and that kind of thing. And I hit the Dragonfly Center open house, which was pretty amazing. And all of council has been invited back to sit through one of their in-service sessions. They are currently creating a massive mural at their head office, and they're asking for everybody to come in and sit down and paint a tile in the particular color and this kind of thing for their mural. So all of council has been invited to go and do that. And I'll pass along some dates if there's interest for that. Same day, there was also the Healthcare Professionals Appreciation Barbecue, which was May 21st, which was really nice to see everybody come out and appreciate all of our healthcare professionals, enjoy a burger. And of course, we always got a little bit of rain that day as well. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, sorry. What else we got here? The Boyles, I attended both the Boyle Senior Symposium. That was June 2nd. Again, it was well attended and really nice to see everybody come out. They always do some great programming and great information there that everybody has access to, as well as the Athabasca Senior Symposium. I also gave greetings there. That was on June 4th. And pretty much they had full houses, and Kim does an amazing job and her team of getting that information out. And as we learned this morning, there is a lot more work coming her way. So I feel for her, but she is always extremely helpful in all of those things. I also attended June 12th, the AU Convocation. I'll tell you, that is a world-class event that they put together. It is amazing to see the transformation that's done in our field house here at the multiplex. It looks like you've just been transported to a whole different space. It is just unbelievable what they do, the amount of work that goes into it, the teams and the volunteers that contribute to make that happen. I'll tell you, every graduate you see has a huge smile on their face. Their families are, thrilled to be here. The compliments are large about what a beautiful community this is. So we so appreciate AU bringing that convocation back home to Athabasca. It was one of the largest AU convocations in history that they've had. If I'm not mistaken, there was over 2,500 graduates this year. 75% were women, which was a really neat thing that I learned, and I thought that would be pretty cool to pass along. They are looking at, of course, because it's becoming larger, of maybe expanding it over more days, because it is just so incredibly well attended. I also attended on June 13th, the Community Pride Picnic, which was also great to be at, and a really fun day of crafts and food and visiting with our neighbors there. And we had a CEO meeting yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh, it's all running together so much, but yeah, I guess it was yesterday. And that was in the morning for breakfast with our neighboring municipalities, and it was always good to visit with them and learn what's happening in their neck of the woods, as well as all of the different events that everybody's being invited to and being asked to speak at. And the majority of my time has been doing my best to get back to residents' concerns, spending time on the phone, spending time in person, having those conversations, and just really trying to understand where everybody's at and hopefully pass along to them some education and some understanding on where the county is at, and coming to that, we're all frustrated. Again, road concerns are the biggest thing. We're all frustrated, but there is only one way forward through this, and that's just to get through what we're dealing with weather, and understand that the work is happening and it will continue to happen. So I appreciate the understanding that a lot of people do have. And again, as I mentioned, nobody should have to tolerate the abuse that we are seeing. So just again, a plea of people to come out with grace when they want to have those conversations.
Thank you. Councillor Capitani.
Yeah, it has been quite busy with events in my area in the last month or so. Collington specifically hosted well, I shouldn't say Collington, but the church hosts an annual plant sale that every year becomes, I believe, bigger and bigger, and it becomes a barbecue and a family event. And this was the first time I made it before it started, which apparently is what you need to do, because if you get there about 20 minutes ahead of time, there's already 50 people in line that wait patiently to get their turn to pick plants that are all come from donated from local residents and people in the area. So hardied Northern Alberta perennials. And so I got myself some plants there. Anyway, that's always a really good time. It usually is a community garage sale as well, but this year apparently lots of people didn't have anything left to sell. So there was a few garage sales, but that's again a fun thing to see a community come together and do. The Collington Community Club itself is and myself volunteering are going up to Fort Mac to work the casino over Canada Day, which is less than stellar, but you don't say no. And that's a huge fundraiser. And so there's some of us will be doing double shifts because I mean, people have plans, and mostly that has to do with the river rats. And I'm really sad that I'm going to be missing that this year, but in favor of helping out do some fundraising. It's not that big of a sacrifice in the long run. Obviously, my colleague spoke to the multiplex AGM, and then our follow-up meeting. We met in the evening on Monday. We've been trial running this past year, going back and forth. They're like 2-to-1 daytime versus evening meetings. And I don't think that either one is better than the other. It seems that it's kind of half and half. And so I'm not sure if we're going to continue that next term, but I think we're going to decide at our September meeting, because we don't meet in July and August, but prior to the next organizational. Or our next organizational. And we'll see if we're going to continue that hybrid of times or go back to, I'm assuming we would go back today. I don't ever see it being full-time nights. Events that I got to attend, the AU Convocation President's Reception was held in between the 2 days of convocation, and that's an evening to celebrate the honorary degree recipients and the governor's gold medal recipient, and she got to speak about her work with I want to say people that are terminally ill, cancer patients, and different treatments that are coming out through her studies, and why she won that award and her hard work. So that was really interesting to be a part of. Just thinking if I missed anything. Oh, positives. The street sweeper came, and I know the small hamlets get real excited about that, but I always like to do a shout out for the town street sweeper, whoever is doing it, because Manook gets really excited because they have kids since before my first term. So now they're like teenagers that are really into skateboarding, and the street sweeper comes and then they get out there and they're active on their skateboards because it's a really low I want to say low population, low car population street that they put the little ramp on. And it's kind of fun. Like you can drive by it. It's kind of like an alcove, so it's not obstructing anyone. But they do wait for the street sweeper because when the kids fall down, they don't want to fall on like all the gravel that's on the paved road. So they were happy. The roads are starting to, get fixed up, and that's just nature. So I don't really have anything to say about that. Whatever I have is, gone to the right departments. But I have had people that had serious issues and or, stuck at home issues, being able to come back and say, hey, the road's looking good. I can get in and out and almost, and have a light heart about it and have more of a, I want to say not a joking attitude, but definitely like not still holding a grudge against Mother Nature and living rurally. So, they're coming back, haha, I can get out now. So good for you. And I think that, the other thing that I wanted to point out is not really an Athabasca County community event, but it is an Athabasca former county community resident. Gina Payzant has released another movie that she has written, directed, and filmed herself, and it is playing at the Space Science Center on Friday, the 26th, 27th, and the 28th of June, and then again I believe the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of July. And on the 27th, there is an actual movie watch party. And I've been encouraging Athabasca residents to try to make a go of it. She was a teacher in our high school, I believe, and elementary school. You worked together for many years, as well as obviously, if you don't know where I live, she's the former owner of my home. So she lived in Collington for many years as well, and that was her workspace. And she did a prior film on George Riga, who was a settler in the north of the river, Richmond Park area. And a story of his life that's been acclaimed over many years and been to many independent film festivals. And her film now was actually showing in 2 independent film festivals and has been taken on by the Space Science Center. And it's all about Galileo. And she, traveled Italy for many months, I believe, researching this film. I'm a big Gina supporter, but I just wanted to put that out. So it's also out to the public that if you want to do a movie night with your kids or even as a date night, it is obviously a family-friendly event. It's at the TELUS World of Science. I like to say anyone that's over 40 calls it the Space Science Center. That's what it's called, and it will always be called that. But we're going to try to make it for the watch party on the 27th, and it'll be like going to the movie, and then everyone's just meeting at Boston Pizza after. That's right at Westmount. And that, I think, was all the excitement. And yeah, no, that was it. Sorry, I was going to talk about grass, but that's totally different subject. We're good.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chamzik.
Well, I also went to FCM with 2 of my fellow colleagues. Great opportunity to network, do workshops, and be a part of the true rural voice. Some of the big topics is houselessness, climate change, and of course the Green Municipal Fund. I'll have a report submitted in soon. This past weekend, Deputy Reeve Mins and I also had an excellent opportunity to go to the AGM tour for the watershed in the RMWB for the at the See the Sun Core base mine site. It was a great opportunity to learn more about water filtration, new technologies, and the reclamation. Them being part, in my opinion, of a world-class facility and also stewards of the land. In the community, Grassland had a show and shine. It was greatly well received, great attendance, and I'd like to thank all the sponsors that helped that event also happen. As for Councillor Pella, who will see you at the Fly-In Barbecue, Grassland Fire Department will also be there as well. And here, this next Wednesday coming up, Grassland Fire Department is celebrating 50 years of service. We're hosting an event for honoring past members, legacy, and trying to promote the future of fire departments. Roads are roads. Pretty much we're at the mercy of the weather, but I would like to take a minute and just kind of thank all the operators and staff doing what they can with the weather. In the community coming up this weekend, Mug Bugs coming up. Come see some of our local riders out there doing their thing. And also it's a Boyle Trade show coming up this weekend. And I believe it's also a U14 tournament. So Boyle will be bustling. Come buy a burger, support the 2027 grads. That's all I have. Thank you.
Perfect. Councillor Cheeson.
Thank you for stealing my Boyle trade show. Just regional healthcare attraction and retention, been busy. They do have a new nurse practitioner. I didn't get their start date for her, but I knew it was relatively soon.
I'll help you out there. It's been advertised. It's June 22nd.
Yes.
There's also a new doctor, Dr. Nosa coming in.
Yes, yeah.
So for June 22nd.
So June 22nd is also, it's a meeting with MLA Van Dyken. So some of the concerns that were brought up that we wanted to mention to him was, of course, ambulance services, recruitment and retention, the helipad projects, your virtual doctors, and the care services were what we wanted to chat with him about. So just so you know, Boyle loses a doctor in November. So we'll be short a doctor there. They are recruiting and we're hoping to have a new doctor in by the spring of 2027. So we'll be looking at locums to be filling in during that time. So with the new doctor coming in, there is 6 doctors in emergency in Athabasca. So it does help out with burnout and that type of stuff. But they said if they could have one more doctor, that would be the ideal thing. So we are recruiting and trying to make sure that we keep our doctors here. So that's a big thing. So June 22nd is a big meeting and we'll be there to chat. Had to reschedule the Rural Women's Conference meeting due to the FCM conference. So there was 2 of us on that that had to not be there. So we didn't meet here. And the Boyle Library was also another meeting that had to be rescheduled. I find that just with summer coming along, sometimes things just need to be rescheduled with all the schedules people have. Buffalo Lake Pro Rodeo, I was a part of that, went very well, big crowds. It was good for the community and I hope you guys were there. We did have the mayor of Edmonton show up, so that was nice that he was there. FCM conference, that was my first one, of course, because it was interesting. And it was kind of nice just to see the whole federal kind of play on it. So for me as a new counselor, I kind of wanted to bring that forward. I really did enjoy the political speakers that were there. Dominic LeBlanc just got back from the US American tariff talks. So he was a really good speaker and he did talk about build big at home. And he encourages us as municipal leaders to be close to our communities. So listening to all the other counselors, it's nice to see that we are close to our communities and to identify what, big projects could be up and coming. Economic and climate was, of course, one of the big things, and housing for the homeless was really huge. They talked about federal lands. It was kind of above what we could maybe utilize at this point, but it was nice having that information as well. The mayor of Edmonton, he talked about the future of rural. So it was nice to see that. And everybody talked about how important partnerships were to share our infrastructure, dual use infrastructure. So they used the example of D&D military as a great example of that type of partnership. We also had the new NDP leader speak, which was interesting, and Elizabeth May on the last day from the Green Party. So it was really good. I do want to talk a little bit about the resolutions. Ken did talk about that. One of the resolutions that I wanted to bring forward was resolution 5, which was reversal of federal agriculture research centers. It was nice to see that on the federal page because that affects Alberta. And as the Ag Service Board, we were concerned about that, and we had put a letter forth from our county of Athabasca just stating that we didn't want to see that being closed. So it's nice to see that it was on the table on a federal note. So with that, I just want to say thanks to all of us in Public Works and admin for trying to do the best that we can under a trying time. And as the rest of you, I've been busy with phone calls and emails and trying to get a hold of the right departments. So thank you to everyone.
Perfect. Counselor DeHolick.
Pretty good month. Spent a lot of time on the roads and Personally, I really think we have a lot more damage than we think on the roads, but we'll see that. I attended a Alberta Forest Products meeting in Edmonton with Northwood Lumber and Vanderwell or whatever. Very good to see our FMAs and how much lumber is coming out of this area and our northern area. And then we had a lag meeting just the other day, landscape advisory board. I met a lot of people from our locals from Calling Lake, Wabasca, Heart Lake, indigenous people. I found it really interesting. The next day, we were scheduled for a flight or for a road tour to Heart Lake to look at some of the cut blocks. It was raining. Some guys went anyway, but I got the opportunity. I'm going to be flying up there on Sunday to tour some of the areas. And that's it. Carry on.
That, you just started on that committee there, right?
Yeah, I love
You
it.
know, is it good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it.
that's good.
And
That's
it's good
to
for
hear.
us, huh?
Yeah, that's good to hear because we kept hearing about this committee through
Uh-huh.
actually
Oh my
through the
gosh.
town.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's great to hear positive.
There was at least 30 of us there.
Yeah, good, perfect. Well, thank you for that. I won't keep us long because we're going into lunch here. Again, busy, lots of meetings, it seems like, just looking at my timesheet here. And summer village meetings in the at the end of May with the west side. Myself and Councillor Hall went there and got some. It's their meeting, so we just go and we attend, and they can ask us questions and that. And it was very well attended there. Also, I got a chance to go to the Portage College convocation. That was on the 4th, and there was 1,200. 2 days, 1,200 graduates were coming out of Portage College. They put on a heck of a show there. It's very nice to see. There's I walk in with bagpipes and traditional drummers from there. So it's awesome. If you get a chance to go there, just even for a half a day, it's great. Watershed or the Water Commission meeting, County Council meeting. And then, yes, I'll tag team with Councillor Chamzik regarding the AGM in Fort McMurray. Traveled there Thursday night, went on a tour of the reclamation of the tailings ponds at Base Plant, the Suncor Base Plant. That mine started in 1965, and some of it's just getting reclaimed now, and the trees have been in there, I think, for 15 years, something like that. And it's something to see if you ever go up there and see what. So it's all science. Everything's science, and it's awesome. It's and they're very I want to say just energetic and everything what they do. It's crazy, but it was a great tour. If you get a chance to, they have a trailer. Suncor has a trailer. They're going to be going around different areas. We were the guinea pig group of their first ever tour. They used the Athabasca Watershed Council committee for it, and they got a trailer up there, and they walked us through it to explain what they do with the water, and it's crazy the information that you get out of there. The tailings ponds are not as terrible as as a lot of people think. There is, at the base plant and that, where any place where they're doing the extraction of and doing the bitumen, there is some bad stuff in there. But these big, huge tailing ponds, a lot of it is just water. And there's one other chemical in there that they can take out with the water extraction and that. So it's very good information for everybody to see. It'll be down in Calgary this trailer. It'll probably be in Edmonton. It's, they're gonna start going around and explaining to everybody about this, so. So yeah, and then from there, at our AGM, everything's going very well. Again, all science, and the watershed is being looked after very well. And, there's, Wood Buffalo started a project with the source water protection. And they're gonna be going through and talking to municipalities as they come down on amount of water that they're actually can hold. Or, you know, how long they can stay without having to pump out of the river. Just due to the fact, or out of the tributaries, just due to the fact of spots where there might have, well, even in the spring here, we don't pump up to the reservoir because the water's so dirty coming down from spring runoff. So like in our reservoir, we have a month of actual hold time that we can go. So that's what the protection is, that. So the other thing would be, so we had our CAO meeting and special council meeting, and then the CEO meeting, and today the Cal meeting. So yes, and yes, the roads are taking a beating and everything like that, but I just want to reiterate again that Athabasca County has been through this before and survived. And all it takes is Mother Nature gives us a little bit of time, and operators will get on the roads and they will blade them, and it'll all get figured out. It's very frustrating, but doing the best we can. Okay. So on that note, thank you everybody for your reports and everything. And I think we're going to break for lunch. It'll be at 20 to 1. We will return. Perfect. Thank you. Meeting here, and we'll move on to we're looking at 6.1 proclamation of special days, policy 6805. Good afternoon, Melanie.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. As instructed at your May 14th meeting, administration has pulled together a report and I guess, a jumping off point for a policy discussion on if you would like to issue proclamations of special days, some of the issues that you might want to include in a policy and clarification. So with that, I'm really just here to answer or to take your direction, or unless you want a more formal presentation on the materials.
Okay, thank you for the policy. Go ahead, Reeve Holland.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you putting all of this together for us. I would recommend a few changes on page 75 of the policy. 3.2, where it says requests for proclamations will be denied if in the opinion of the Reeve. I would change that to be in the opinion of council. And where it's referring to Reeve, also in section 4, the Reeve, I would change to council may issue proclamations on behalf of Athabasca County rather than county council of Athabasca County based on the criteria outlined in the policy. And then where it says again, the Reeve, I would change to council. So the council may refer a request to the CAO where the interest of the county as a whole is not clearly demonstrated. Just to give that broader approval rather than just one person.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that, because it is everything that's decided in this meeting room is decided by council. So to actually name the Reeve, I don't think it's right, but I don't know if it came out of another policy or Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members of the committee, in the package, there's just a comparison of what other municipalities are doing. Some of them delegate that authority to the reeve. Others, it has to be resolution of council. So that was a starting off point. If council prefers that it comes to council, that's what the policy will say.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Any other discussion regarding it? I like the policy. I do. It gives us a guideline that the policy was built in 1999 and it's 2026. So let's think about this a little bit and thank you for making it more, instead of no, we're not going to do any. Yeah, we can do some. So go ahead, Revon.
Thank you. Excuse me. Allergies is getting to me. The other thing is thank you very much for also the list provided on page 79 of several different standing proclamations from comparison municipalities. And I think when the last time we did, talked about this, it was kind of, I guess the focus was mainly for service type days. So people who provide service, volunteers, firefighters, RCMP police, that kind of thing. And so I highlighted a few of the days that I think that is basically what I thought the county would basically concentrate on if we wanted to broaden the proclamation policy to just specify those certain things. I wasn't sure how council felt about it. But in the list that I had highlighted, it, like I mentioned, it basically provides for service type individuals. So I did mention, and a couple of different cultural. So Black History Month, as I highlighted, I just wanted to toss these out there. Black History Month, National Volunteer Week, Emergency Preparedness Week, International Firefighters Day, National Police Week, National Public Works Week, Alberta Rural Health Week, Seniors Week, Alberta Farmers Day, National Indigenous Peoples Day, Fire Prevention Week, and Veterans Week. And those are the ones that I felt were important, just in what my intent was when it came to doing a proclamation or a declaration of a day.
Okay. So Johnson?
Yeah, I pretty much did the same thing. The only other thing that I had was a possible safety and health week is pretty much on there. And I'm not sure if you mentioned Canadian Mental Health Week.
No, I hadn't.
So you wanna mark these down right now to?
Well, I didn't know how council felt because as it mentions in the policy that you are required to provide 4 weeks prior to the date of that proclamation is required. So a person's really gonna have to, the dates are here, right? That are listed on like the 2026 dates were here. So I just felt that if council wanted to narrow down what it was that they were wanting to recognize, it might just make things a lot easier and more streamlined and efficient to be able to do that. And it's, gives communications an opportunity to, prepare their release that's probably just basically going to be happening on our social media and our website. And it gives them that opportunity to prepare it ahead of time if they know what we're looking at. So it was just a thought and there for conversation for council's input.
Okay. Councilor Kaptanic.
Yeah, so as this list is from comparison municipalities, we can add things, I'm assuming, and that aren't on the list, but just in comparison, we have Public Works Week, we have Administrative Professionals Day. Is that something that we want to do to kind of respect everyone that works in the office versus, and acknowledge them as well? And then just thinking about throughout our community and what of these events, or I should say proclaimed days that usually generally have an activity attached or some sort of community event in the Athabasca area. Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Day, like Red Dress Day, usually has a walk and down at the riverfront and a lot of I want to say educational activities that go along with it. So that might be something that we want to consider bringing attention to, as well as Pride Month / Pride Day. I know that Athabasca hosts Pride events generally on one day or one weekend during the month of June. So that might be something we want to look at. And then I don't know if we're getting to too many things, but we just had our presentation from FCSS today, and Family Violence Prevention Month is a big part of, I think, what you work with over there in education and providing support services, just those types of things. So I was just trying to think of things that are relatable to what we have immediately in our community recognized, but by other organizations, not. If we want to be attaching our Athabasca County name to them, that's up to council, but those were ones I thought of outside of what we've all had said.
Councillor Dolick.
The only one I think is the Canada Mental Health Week. Should think about that when it's given.
Councillor Chavzik.
I'm just wondering what would be the flavor of this to come back to a committee of whole and kind of decide where we would like to see some of those things. Yeah. That.
Councillor Calhoun.
Yeah, I sort of did the same thing as my colleagues and highlighted stuff. So I did have also the Canadian Mental Health Week and the Family Violence Prevention Month. The only other one, I mean, like, we do need to decide how much is like too much or whatever. But like Councillor Kapitanic was saying, sometimes things too that are already ongoing, that doesn't take a lot. I think that our National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is a very important day to remember and acknowledge as a council. That's my opinion.
Okay, one question I have to administration is what proclamation week, what goes into doing all this and does it have to be, is it going to be advertised? Does it have to go in the paper? How much is this going to cost? That's one thing that we really also need to look at is like we could do every one of these weeks here, but what's the process here?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, the draft policy currently contemplates publishing to the county's website and the social media channels. So there would be no formal advertising costs other than the staff time that's used to prepare the notices. And as was mentioned, oftentimes, if you know that they're going to be declared or proclaimed in advance, you can schedule them far in advance. If I may just ask though, as Councillor is discussing this, a number have been identified. And so I guess the question I would have is, are you comfortable then with a standing list of proclamations perhaps to be confirmed at a later date, and then allowing groups if they would also like to request, maybe there's something new that comes up that's very community based. So there would be kind of two streams where if something is on the list, administration knows that it's initiated and get it. And I guess the question would be, do you want that to come back for a council resolution, even if it is on the list? And then if something isn't on the list, that it would be a 4-week period with the wording and then come to council. So that would be just some clarification that I would hope to get from you.
Okay, perfect. So sound good. So that went so quick on me that, okay, so what do we need to do?
Well, I think we need a motion to forward this to the next committee of the whole meeting for further discussion regarding choosing dates and amendments to the policy, to the draft as discussed.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. What's discussion?
It would be okay to suggest that if we all just come back with like kind of maybe a top 5 and see where we're at. Like each one of us, I don't know. Just an idea to see if we want to make a standing list. Maybe we're on the same page for like almost all of them, and maybe we're not. That would be like homework.
Yeah, yeah, that would be okay. If we're gonna bring it back anyway, may as well bring back the ones that you are kind of wanting on there. So Counselor Chowzick?
Yeah, I like that idea. My only concern with top five, maybe top 10, just
Yeah.
because I think they're for our top five generally will be probably all on board with each other. But 100% can pass my paper along.
Counselor Stasiak?
I actually agree. I think though, what would be more beneficial, I've got 11 here that I thought would be of importance and well, no, but I'm thinking if we just overlaid them and so that if we take 9 copies and just set them side by side and which ones have the most, that's our top 5, 6, 10, whatever. Essentially, same thing. So yeah.
So we have a motion on the table right now to bring back to another committee of the whole meeting. Is there a date on the committee of the whole meeting or just bring it back to August?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think we need, it's not a rush, right? It's, yeah, August is great. Thank you.
That would be okay for admin to bring back to the August committee of the whole. Well, August might be quite the one. Yeah, August committee of the whole meeting for more discussion, I guess. Everybody okay with that? All in favor? Passed. 8-0. Okay, so thank you for that. Now, strategic priorities. We're looking for some feedback. Okay, sounds
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as council is painfully aware, since early April, a lot of things have happened in the county. Probably changed the strategic priorities of what we thought we could accomplish this year. Some of the new items that you weren't aware of when we established this chart in April was the spring flooding and the snows, both the recovery and the grant process, road conditions, Rochester Library, some of the Skeleton Lake planning and intermunicipal issues, Alpac Road issues, the new building move-in didn't really show up. Water Commission memorandums of agreement, and we even threw on Plumana connector advocacy. So I don't think we're just getting your feedback if what you would like administration to try to update this chart, rolling those things in and bouncing off the things that it seems like we got done. And so on page 82, I'll give you an example. Water line options is number 1, and it was town meeting. Well, that seems like it wasn't required after all, because we got an MOU with the town. So that's done, but we'd probably include the next step on the water line. So the next milestone that we want to hit as our top priority for water line. So if we get some feedback from council, then we would attempt to update this chart and bring it back to you at the next COW for more discussion.
Well, I know, well, on my end, where it's at is this water line. The sooner we get it, the sooner we get that. So I don't know whether we go with the priority of negotiations with the commission. That would be the top one there. And then just right underneath it would be the design. Once we get the commission figured out how we're gonna hook in and all this stuff, then bang, we can hit the design. So even if we could double down on that, that'd be good on my end. What's everybody else's? That's my top one right there. Roads are a priority. Don't get me wrong. Roads are a very big priority also. So that's anything to do with roads is, we are graders and gravel, and we will always be graders and gravel. Councillor Chamzik.
I do agree. Water line is a very important priority. Number 2 on the list, I'm just wondering where we're at with that. And will it be coming in closed anytime soon or?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Chief Shalapai and Director Wilkinson are bringing an item to update council, I believe on the 25th.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, who else wanted to discuss? Reeve Holland.
Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing this list forward that, you know, of course, the new and upcoming items that we're facing. Are some of those on the list, would you identify as operational, what is it called? Operational initiatives? Would some of those fall there?
Mr. Chairman, some of them could be, yes, but some of them still require council approvals for certain aspects of it. So if council ultimately has the authority for some of them, somehow it's got to be shown as a council thing. It's not truly just operational. I'll give you an example. New building move in, that's totally operational.
Okay.
Yeah, it should show on there, but it's not really in council's box. But it should be shown somewhere that administration's busy with it. Just to show that they're, a lot of the other ones, they're going to require council's involvement in some way. So, you know, they're almost all of them require at least council agreement of some sort.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with, again, road conditions. You know, water line, yes, for sure, because we're hot and heavy in the middle of that one. But the road conditions, what, did you want it in the now list and under council priorities? That's where you're looking to put it?
Either now or write something now,
Yesterday.
right? So, right?
Right.
I don't know. You know what? I believe we had committed to giving council a briefing in closed later today.
Yeah.
Maybe something could roll out of that.
That's what I was
There's
wondering.
real specific to that one is road conditions, and that's a big theme of our entire 2026 activity. Let's put it that way. Everything's changed.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Absolutely. So like, for example, under the now road network plan, that's pretty much done, right?
Yeah, it's on the agenda today.
Right.
It's kind of, it's done.
It's done.
The thing was just to bring it ahead to council and so that you've got it, you've
Okay.
seen it, there is one. And maybe it would generate some discussion, but it's kind of done.
Right? So I guess where I'm at, in all honesty, is, you know, 5 becomes gone, then 2 becomes 3, and road conditions becomes 2. 3 becomes 4, 4 becomes 5. That's kind of where I see it.
That's a good one. Yeah, road up, maybe we'd call it road upgrades
Right.
instead of road conditions,
Right.
but road upgrades or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's more than just administrative. Council has a huge part to play.
And then when we look at the Rochester Library, for example, I mean, that's something that, of course, we're dealing with deadlines. So it's one of those things we can't, if we drop the ball, then everything just, well, I shouldn't say drop the ball. That's not a poor choice of, but if we don't get at it, it becomes where the Rochester Library is in storage. I mean, and that's not, you know, the ideal. It can happen, but we have to also consider, okay, is it higher priority than road upgrades? Is it higher priority than the new building move, which is, okay, we can move that to the operational, but the Plumonton connector advocacy, is the Rochester Library higher priority than the Plumonton connector advocacy, right? And I'm assuming that advocacy would be lobbyists.
Well, yeah, I mean, the advocacy is a separate box anyways.
Okay.
So I think it's okay. We can just leave that one somewhere
Okay.
in a box.
Okay.
It just gets added to the advocacy box. So it doesn't compete with an actual strategic priority of council. You can have them both, basically.
Okay.
One that we might maybe after Monday's meeting, Mr. Chairman, is talk about bumping number 4. Maybe there may be an opportunity just to defer that one a little bit, and maybe Rochester Library jumps up as a priority for council since we seem to have a deadline.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll look at that on after Monday afternoon's meeting. On maybe moving that around. Okay.
This is we're moving around the emergency management plan, so there is an emergency advisory meeting is happening and we're meeting with the consultant, and that's on the 22nd. And so, yeah, there, like I say, there's room to move these types of things. The Skeleton Lake planning and intermunicipal issues, is that, I guess you're looking for council direction on.
Yeah, are we at the point where that jumps onto the list somewhere? Because it seems like there's a push for us to keep addressing it, so.
So is that something that we can add to the
Maybe,
planning?
maybe into the next category or something like
Right.
that, and.
Okay,
Just, I don't know if we really talked about it, Mr. Chairman, during the councillor roundtable, but we did have the Mawatha Beach. Okay. And so one of the things that was talked about with Summer Village of Mawatha Beach was perhaps applying for an ACP grant from the province to complete new planning around the lake. So, so one of the targets could be Skeleton Lake ACP grant. That might be the milestone, and include in budget 2027. So you wouldn't start it till you know if you've got the grant. So, and you don't really hear about that till next January, February. So maybe we could massage that one and add it to the next list.
okay. And the Alpac Road issues, is
Yeah,
that
that's-
something that's
This
taking?
is, we haven't even briefed council on it, but, we believe that, there may be an opportunity to work with our largest, taxpayer. They would like the county to consider working with them to talk to the province about taking back the, C and K roads, which are huge, capital requirements, and they serve we'll have to bring that ahead. We can't explain it in 1 minute. They're just such huge pieces of infrastructure, and they serve a completely different context. They're like secondary highways. They, in fact, might be busier than some of our other secondary highways. They connect all of MD Opportunity to the rest of not only our county, but also Lac La Biche County to Highway 63. And I think they believe that it's time to ask council to work with them to talk to the province about taking them back. So
Is
we're
that
just,
an advocacy?
yes, it would
And,
be
you know,
advocacy.
Right, and then, or would we tie in our lobbyists and,
Correct.
be
And
adding to their list?
so where it's coming is, we just added it to give council a heads up. They're gonna come and talk to council about this.
Okay.
And then the lobbyist would be involved.
So would that, I don't want to be would that affect the advocacy on the Pomona connector?
Don't know. That's why,
Yeah, it's
we did caution them that we've got a lot of balls in the air with the minister right now. And,
Could it almost tie into it though, being the economic corridor straight across, they could almost become one?
it might, it might. And I see one of them having a lot of chance of success, Pomona Connector.
Yeah.
I see the other one having an uphill battle.
Yep.
It'll be a long-term thing. They haven't played with the secondary highways or taken any back in years. So, and that was, not that this one was ever was, and we took it back. But the province has been reluctant to do this, so it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
we've been down this road before, and there's a lot of advocacy to do something like that. I remember when we were trying to talk the province into switching 855 to south of Pomona because it was already paved. It made sense, and it was like they wouldn't even look at it.
I don't think we need to add it quite yet because I think they want to come forward and talk to council. We're just putting it on here that seems to be an emerging issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Councillor,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we're pretty much made it, other than the Water Commission memorandums of agreement.
that's their.
And that's the very top, right? That takes over the waterline options, right?
It helps, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that the water line should remain a constant at the top, right? Okay, and Bob mentioned I had the Plumond connector would probably be able, would that, we've done all we can do with the Plumond connector. So it's not even an action item right, well, unless we want to keep, we're waiting for a word, is what we're doing.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, the letter hasn't actually gone into the minister. We're just waiting on our partner,
Okay. Oh,
the
okay,
county.
good, good.
So,
Okay.
and then the next step is actually submit a STIP application. So that's kind of the next milestone.
Right.
And that deadline is November. So that's really the next thing.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wanna, Councillor Stacey?
Yeah, I just need a little bit of clarification and perhaps want to make a comment on the Rochester Library. To me, I do see the flooding and the road conditions as number one priority. There's a given. But is there any way that we can get the preliminary steps in place for agreements as far as lease agreements so that those people can start on their grant applications? And then we could look at that as maybe third, fourth or something down the line. Because as we said, there's a deadline in place here, and the longer we kind of wait our turn type of a thing, then that grant time frame is still there, but it just gets moved further down, and pretty soon we run out of time. But just wondering if there's a way that we can do the preliminary step and say, okay, let's sign the Golden Age Club agreement, lease agreement, get everything in place, let them carry on with their application, and then we can come and revisit it when we have either more time or more finance or better agreement.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, like we are going to work on it. So it should show up somewhere here. If there's just some operational things that we could do in the meantime, then we'll find a box to put them in. It'll show up. It's just in April, it didn't show up.
Okay.
We're suggesting it should show up. We talked maybe about it bumping number 4, but maybe there's some other operational things that we could talk about also.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had that presentation this morning on the Skyways project. And I noticed down on the operational initiatives, it mentions county industrial land development, county land housing and ECDEB strategy. And I'm wondering if there is space or ability to have time to really look into that Skyways project through economic development. Is that something that's even feasible or can happen, or I don't know where to begin with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could craft something up and put it in as a bullet. It's kind of means staff are working on it. There's no council involvement yet, but they can work on it.
Okay, that would be amazing. Yeah, other than that, I don't know. Did we hammer it all out? Do we kind of know where everything's heading and going and?
Mr. Chairman, we'll probably bring back a draft based on your and then see how it looked based on the changes and see if that's represents current conditions.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so bring back a draft to another committee of the whole meeting. Do we need a motion or?
No,
No,
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay,
Awesome, awesome.
perfect, thank you. Everybody's good with that? Okay. Like, 7.1, strategic priority road use classifications. Is there, one question I had is there a bunch of duplicate maps here? What is it showing? Like all of a sudden I'm looking at the same map and same roads.
Well, I think they overlap, right? But no, they move throughout. Put them together.
Oh, okay.
Put them all in one, right? But they do overlap. Oh.
Chairman, it looks like some of the pages ended up duplicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've got,
Yeah, page.
we've got 4 versions of Wandering River. So you're right. So
I'm just like,
you're right.
looking at it,
Somehow,
going back and forth and I went, okay.
somehow our PDF
Yeah.
made some adjustments.
No, yeah, not a problem, not a problem. So I was just wondering if I'm not seeing something, but.
No, they're all the same. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Go
Um,
ahead, read on.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to see these here. They were a little hard to read, so I mean, we would want, if we were gonna go into it, is there a place that we can look at online what these roads actually are? Like, can we blow them up in a way to see them, or is there somewhere? Okay, that'd be great.
Sorry, through the chair.
And with regards to the policy itself, the county road classifications, they all make sense to me, exactly how this policy, looks. And I don't know if you have any recommendations that you would want to see, changed or updated, or what you're used to seeing from your experience?
Well, they're uniquely Athabasca. So they are a little bit different than what most municipalities use as far as definitions and even names, right? So the classifications are a little different. And at one point you had contracted another firm to undertake a new one. And there was a draft that had been created, had never been adopted. And it's completely different classifications, right? They didn't follow your policy.
How long ago was that? Sorry, was that in 2023? I can't remember. Was it
I
2022?
think it was 2023
Okay,
before I got
Yeah.
here, and they had an update, and so.
and then it just
What-
fell.
Yeah,
Okay.
what Mr. Morton is referring to is most places, number 1, 2, and 3, they kind of refer to them as arterial roads, collector roads, and local roads.
Local roads.
And so the whole rest of the world calls them that, but we've decided we're uniquely Athabasca, and that's okay. We know what they mean. They really relate to arterials, collectors, and local roads. And then a lot of farmland access, that's called something different in every community. Doesn't seem to matter. Everyone knows what it means.
But should we be considering updating, as you mentioned, to that arterial collector local? It might make more sense to be, right? I
It's-
guess on a standard.
Yeah,
is what I'm
it's a
trying to get at, right?
definition, right? And it's just a reference. We all know what these are and which ones they are, right? What's a arterial, what's a collector. But yeah, there's kind of a standard that's been adopted throughout. But not everybody has that, but we wanted to make you aware of what you currently have. And then at some point we'll bring that, we can show you that draft, but it needs some work. I would recommend some work to it prior to bringing it to council. It's missing some key components in my opinion.
Great. I would be happy to upgrade our policy to what is the more standard language, for sure. Nothing wrong with kind of bringing us up to 2026, in a lot of areas. So I'm happy with that if that's where council's at.
Yeah, it'd be okay. I used to work off of this. Thing, and I know what they all mean, and I don't know whatever happened to the map in my office, but it was a big map of this exact same stuff, and even the gravel budget was built off of this. So it's, but yeah, if we want to bring in or have them look at the policy to upgrade it to the normal standards of the province, I guess. It would, how much work would that entail? Lots of work, or?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are.
It's just whether if you want to change it, it wouldn't take us that long to update the policy and bring it back.
Okay, anybody interested in that? Okay, do we need a motion to send out?
Mr. Chairman, you might as well.
Yeah.
On that one.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Councilor.
Just for clarification here through the chair, would you be updating the maps as well as the designated roads, like key roads and so on? Because I would like to chime in as well, because I noticed on page 85, one of the roads you have designated as a key road is no longer a key road. The landing trail is more key than that one that cuts across. So just if you're updating it, just so that there's some consideration for changing them to which are actually now more currently the more used roads, because they will ultimately get a little different. Being that designation, they're going to get more priority being a key road as opposed to a grid road. And so that road has already been done a few years back, and there's more important roads to consider as a key road than that one for sure. Just saying. Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, I guess just to be clear, a collector road doesn't, just because you've upgraded it to the point you're happy with it, but you want to now get a different road upgraded and you can't just change the definition. The definition is based off usage.
Right. Well, that was sort of my original point, is that back in the day, that was a highly used road by the gravel trucks. And then the residents there said, we don't want them big trucks going past our house. So then they had to come off of the highway onto the landing trail. So that road that was designated has become maybe a 2 or 3 vehicle road now, but the north and south that goes back and forth into that pit has become a 500 a day. And so that's what I was getting at.
So the usage has completely changed.
That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Then roads can move classifications based off usage for sure.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
So I guess we need a motion for go ahead.
To recommend to county council to update policy 3240 for I guess naming of our roads brought up to standard. I don't know how you want
Classifications of roads.
Bringing the classifications more in line with standard.
Alberta standards, Alberta municipality standards.
Yes, standard naming across the province.
Poor Leah. Recommend to county council to forward policy or to update policy 3240 road definitions to be more in line with Alberta municipality standards. Does that make sense?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay, I don't want to have to repeat that. Everybody understands that?
We'll just see if Miss Leah has her. You good? Yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, 8-0. Motion carried. Thank you.
I can put a motion on that one right now. As recommended.
Oh, 7.2?
Yep.
7.2, the privacy management program policy and procedure. You don't want Melanie to read the whole thing? What?
It's done so well.
It's so cool. Okay, do you have anything to add or?
I think if I may, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I think the only thing that is really important is that this is a mandatory compliance item. The province has mandated this and Tammy has pulled it all together. So the policy that council would need to approve would be on pages 100 to 102 and the rest would be procedural and administrative.
And I will say, well done.
Perfect. So any discussion before we move the motion? No, everybody's good with it? I'm good with it. There's lots of work went into this. This is, I'm sure, is very time consuming. So, so on the motion that the committee direct administration to bring the policy management program policy to a future regular county council meeting for approval. All in favor? 8-0, motion passed. Okay, now we have Holy man, that was a big one.
140.
Ooh. Yeah, I've lost one. So moving on to 7.3, enforcement level of service policy. Chief Shalapai. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair. All
Go ahead.
right. If you don't mind, I'll just jump right in here.
You bet.
So, as per the strategic plan, June policy review was slated for the enforcement level of service policy. When we started looking at the enforcement level of service policy, we did have an existing one. On page. I jumped over a page here.
139?
Yeah, 139 of your package. We had an existing policy. I will say it was a good inaugural policy, but if you actually read the purpose of the policy, being that CPOs are for the protection of county infrastructure, to prevent damage, ensure traffic safety, and enforce municipal bylaws, it seems to be leaning very heavy towards traffic, and it didn't really encompass the job. So we did a bunch of research, reached out to other municipalities, got some ideas, engaged in the wonderful council survey, which I'll walk through with you, fantastic folks here in a moment. And we've developed a completely redrafted, brand new policy. Updating 9205 just didn't work. It was very focused on traffic and then everything else in your spare time. Now we're trying to get to something that really meets council's need. So if you go to page 145, we can walk through the survey results. And on page 146, so generally speaking, most responses, we received 7 out of 9 councillors responding. There was one question where it was 6 out of 9. It was just a weird result, but generally speaking, we did have the majority of council. When looking at the 7 different fields I offered up in the survey, community standards was number 1 by a long shot. Very closely followed by animal control and traffic safety. And then everything kind of sequentially dominoed down from there. Rural crime reduction being number 4, public spaces and county properties number 5, community outreach number 6, and interdepartmental and interagency being number 7. I will say as we go through this, I'm sure today we'll have some discussion. Maybe these didn't necessarily pan out just based on how I delivered the survey, because land use bylaw to me seems to be more than a number 7, but again, maybe that was the intent of council. So if we look at the next slice here on page 147, we talked about discretionary time. Where does council want us spending any of the free time we have? And honestly, it was a pretty much even balance across the board. Council felt, some councillors leaned harder in some directions, others leaned in the opposite. So when you actually pulled everyone together, it was a fairly balanced result. The traffic safety element, keeping in mind our CPOs do have the ability to enforce on county roads and provincial highways. There was a lot of support for focusing on county paved roads, and a majority share for county gravel roads. Less than half of the respondents were in favor of doing stuff on provincial highways. Other specialties, commercial weights and dimensions, again, a very strong resultant in the commercial vehicle, which aligns to our old level of service policy, which speaks to protecting county infrastructure. More than half of council was supportive of dealing with OHVs. And then the red herring in the survey was the dangerous goods compliance, and we were a little less than half that wanted to get involved in that stuff. When looking at our finite resource, the human resource, our officers, we did ask the question about staffing. So historically, we've, on the administration side, kind of done what council is suggesting here. In the wintertime, we go down to 5 days a week because we don't have the weekend activity that we see in the summertime, recognizing our recreational element and agricultural element that really steps up in the summer. And then the majority of council, or I guess all of the respondents of the survey, wanted to see that 7-day week coverage in the summertime. So I will preface this with, from an operational perspective, moving into 2027. I mean, we have to be very cognizant of trying to provide 7-day-a-week coverage with 2 officers. Due to the budget constraints this year, we did go from 3 to 2, so we are 2 with a seasonal. So it's like running on a donut spare tire. He can do he can do the basics of the job, but not a high performance. So we do have a little bit of resourcing constraints. So we're going to do our best even this year to get the 7-day-a-week coverage in play as best we can. And come budget time, we may report back in terms of needs to try and deliver that. So taking the feedback, we go to page, I have to jump backwards here in the package to page 140, or nope, not that page. 140, yep. We have gone through and drafted up a basic level of service policy. This is consistent with a lot of our peers out there. Beaver County was one of our primary samples that we used to develop this out. What really is important in this, it's a little bit of boilerplate for council to consider. Where I want to get into discussion though is when we get into section 6, 6.1 and 6.2 on page 142. So 6.1 core services, these are the generalized statements that we would be delivering service under. So for us, enforcement, what are the core things that our enforcement team does? They're investigating, educating, enforcing municipal bylaws and provincial statutes. They're conducting patrols in the municipality. They're liaising with external agencies as required. They're promoting and enhancing traffic safety. They're attending emergency scenes to assist other emergency services as required. They assist with our emergency management program. And they do promote public safety through community involvement, positive visibility, and public relations. So get out there, engage the community. So again, very high level, not very specific. 6.2 is the meat and potatoes. So using the survey feedback, we have gone through and kind of mapped out what the results indicated to us. So for us, number 1 is community standards. That's priority number 1 for our CPOs. In terms of proactive versus reactive, we've used the current operating model as a reference. And I will also say we got to be cognizant about how we approach some of these things. So, for example, we did at one point have a former CPO that was very proactive with community standards, and it was not received well by the community because they were identifying properties on their own and going into unsightlies that to the general community was not unsightly. So it does have the potential to create a lot of friction in the community. So there's certain things where you don't want to be too proactive. So number 1, community standards, we take a reactive approach to it, generally based off of complaints from our ratepayers, public. And again, that's unsightly and unsafe properties, derelict buildings, excessive noise, environmental protection enhancement, and the old catch-all other activities that have detrimental effects on the enjoyable use of neighboring properties. And based on the survey feedback, we said discretionary time, spend about 15% of your discretionary time out there managing that. When I say discretionary, we're going to respond to complaints. And depending on the season, animal control expands in the summer, but we have next to nothing in the wintertime. So complaints don't fill up our entire day. We always have a little bit of time left over. So our officers will spend 15% of their discretionary time working on that.
Thank you for explaining the reactive, the proactive portion of these things. We get a lot of complaints from residents that say, well, they're in the neighborhood. Why can't they see it? Why can't they deal with it? Right. And you try and explain that it's a complaint-based system and they're frustrated because it's so blatant, right? Why can't they do that on their own? So for example, you see, I'll use the Pink House in Collinton as an example. It is definitely a derelict building, and it's now even become, I noticed this summer has even really started to implode itself. It's looking pretty nasty. Is that something that can be proactive rather than waiting for somebody else to bring it forward?
Through the chair to Councillor Holland, absolutely. To me, we want to make sure that we have nice clear guidance because we don't want to ever get into too much subjectivity. Because to one officer it might be unsightly, to the next one it's not. And from my perspective, this is something that when we get to the community standards bylaw, which I know Director Wilkinson has already identified as coming down the pipe next, I think we need to clearly map that out in the community standards bylaw. And if council so desires us to go out proactively on these things, no concerns.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Agreed.
Thank you through the chair. Just a bit of a concern here. So when you talk about proactive and things of that nature, I'm going to just give you a quick example of a situation, and you tell me how we can work around it. When you have a farmer that takes a side by side to go fix a fence, he gently drives out of his driveway. He's driving down the road to get to the other field. Peace officer stops him, wants to give him a ticket or a lecture or even a fine for that matter. Is that appropriate, as opposed to there's a taxpayer in Jack's area that phones me occasionally, and there's in weekends the side by sides are inside out. They're burning U's on the road, tearing up the gravel road, doing all those kinds of things. So where's the line between what is sensible driving on the road or not, inappropriate? And then where does that leave our peace officer to make that call, or how does that all come together?
Through the chair to Councillor Stashik. So when it comes to things like that, it falls under our OHV bylaw and provincial legislation, Traffic Safety Act. So if an officer is traveling along and encounters an OHV on the road, if they're compliant with the law, generally speaking, nothing happens. If they encounter something that may be offside with bylaw or law, they are compelled to act because it is provincial legislation and it's on their appointment to address things that they come across. So, I mean, in terms of operations, we can direct where the officers are doing their discretionary patrols, but we don't get into dictating, well, turn a blind eye to this law, turn a blind eye to that law. We have to treat every situational independently in the eyes of the law.
Understand. Thank you for that.
Perfect. Yeah, and I've seen that happen, and it works rather well. My biggest thing was the so heavy loads and stuff like that. That would fall underneath the traffic safety.
Mr. Chairman, absolutely. That'd be under traffic safety, the commercial weights and dimensions. And we have actually put more information to 6.3 about how we're going to manage the traffic safety element with a little more detail than the other elements.
Okay, perfect. Looks good to me. Councillor Calhoun first.
I just have a quick question through the chair to Chief Shalpay. Is there anything on this survey that really shocked you, that you thought would be lower priority or higher priority, that maybe you're not necessarily in agreement or disagreement with, but we're just sort of shocked that it fell that way?
Through the chair to Councillor Calhoun, the only thing that really kind of took me a little bit by surprise was where the land use bylaw, like the interdepartmental, fell, because that fell to the lowest priority, and that seems to be, in previous conversations and previous challenges, an area where we want to spend some time making sure that we are compliant with land use bylaw. So I take that to going back and reading the survey and maybe not having enough information on it, or not saying downplaying, but not providing enough background in the survey. So that would be the one area that I would question in terms of priority, if it's council's will that is lower priority, or if that should be higher.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the other one that was, and maybe it's because council doesn't know how much time our peace officers spend so much time on, it's fire permits. Right now, our peace officers spend a lot of time helping the fire side with inspections, seeing where things are at. And it's probably resulted in a lot of avoided fires. But it kind of got ranked pretty low, probably because council wasn't aware of how important it was. Like from our side, It's huge. It's avoiding problems, having our peace officers involved in fire permits. Is that fair, Chief Shalpa?
Very, very, very fair. And it's one of those return on investments you can't actually quantify. You don't have $1 million fire. Well, how do you show that? I can say the last couple of years, the inspection programs that we've had, we've identified just under 40 holdover fires in the spring through our permitting program. So it's a pretty important program for protective services.
That's really good information for council to have. Thank you. Councillor Chowzik.
Through the chair to Manager Shalapay, how many people are able to do fire permits?
Through the chair to Councillor Chams, that currently both our full-time CPOs are appointed as fire guardians. Our seasonal is a fire guardian. Myself and my deputy chief are fire guardians, as well as manager of agriculture Ryan Hercule is a fire guardian.
Okay, and one other question I have, with all of our priorities and everything here, when it comes down to scheduling, how does that work with our contracted services, Boyle, Athabasca, Summer Villages? And are we still currently doing any work with Thorhild?
Through the chair, we're not currently doing anything with Thorhild. We did have that period of time in previous council term where we were providing coverage while their officer was off due to medical. He has since come back, and Thorhild County has actually expanded. They now have a bylaw officer as well, so they have more staffing than they did back then. So they're a lot more self-sufficient. In terms of our contracts with the summer villages, we have 2 active, one with Summer Village of South Baptiste, one with Miwatha, as well as the Village of Boyle, and we provide service when able. So it's within our current schedule when we're again, get back to that discretionary time element. When we are not responding to county complaints, we will action stuff on their behalf.
Perfect. Revon.
Thank you. Going back to the priority conversation, it was really tricky in the survey because I felt every single item that was there was priority 1. So then I thought, okay, well, if I score everything to be equal amount of time, that will kind of maybe shift the thought that everything is a priority, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of how I answered it. And when it comes down to, because every one of these are reported, everybody wants to see these things happening all the time. But I also know from our reports that how much time the peace officers do spend with the fire guardian role. And so that was one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about, thinking, exactly as you mentioned, this is highly important that we have that a fire guardian doing these things because, as you say, it saves a lot of funds that could possibly be going up in smoke.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that was something that we should be considering because it takes away so much from these other priorities, considering having a fire guardian specific, right? Rather than trying to implement everybody else's time into that one role. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's possible to, actually create a position for it because it is so incredibly important, pays for itself, saves the funding in the fires and whatnot, and then frees up that extra time for peace officers to look at the other priorities. That's kind of where my brain was going with it, but I don't know how that works or how they do it in other areas.
If I may.
Please.
Well, I think we did the fire review a number of years ago, and it was identified that we were understaffed, right? And so I think a longer term plan was to have another deputy chief for sure. So, I mean, if it does take away from the CPOs doing all of these other things for sure, but we've sort of prioritized that. So, at budget time, we certainly can include something like that if that's what council wants. The other thing I wanted to say is that we talked about reactive versus proactive. And when it comes to community standards and the land use bylaw, I think, one thing that council has to know, and I'm sure it's not news to you, that reactive probably takes less staff than proactive and takes less hours. If we're out there looking for problems, we're certainly going to find them.
Councillor Stasiak.
With regards to the fire guardians, I think this might have been tried a few years ago and maybe not. Incorporating the local fire chiefs as fire guardians to kind of relieve some of the pressures on the upper end from here.
Through the chair to Councillor Stasiak, this is something that we're trying again, and we have been trying this winter as well. When we went down to 2 officers, we tried to, we've been working with some of our more tenured fire district chiefs to try and deliver on that, but time, even with pay, time is the most valuable thing we have in the fire service, and our volunteers, there's a reluctance to whether it be do fire permits or fire smart inspections, or there's a hesitation to give more time because there's a lot that they're already doing. Some municipalities have been successful with using their fire services volunteers. I know Thorhill County does use their fire service volunteers, but geographically and population based, they're a much smaller county as well.
Well, the other thing with that too is getting the information too. I remember a long time ago that was implemented, and then sometimes the permits wouldn't make it to the office or something like that, eh? So that was a tricky part, eh? So that's understandable right there. So any other questions? Go ahead there, Councillor Dolick.
We're in the green zone. Do we support the fire guardians there at all? We work with them in any way?
Through the chair, Councillor DeHollick, forestry is pretty territorial when it comes to fire guardians in the forest protection area. If we see something, we will communicate with them. They communicate back with us, but they like to manage that. Specifically in terms of enforcement, we do have the Prairie Forest Protection Act on our CPO's appointment. So if we do, during a fire ban, per se, have a fire burning in Wandering River, someone lights up a campfire during a fire ban, our CPOs can actually enforce it provincially. So if it's in the white zone, it's under our bylaw. If they're in the green zone, they would issue the ticket provincially under the Prairie Forest Protection Act.
Yes, they look after their area very tightly. So, okay, so on any other questions by council? So what we're looking for is probably a motion to move this to county council for adoption.
If council's happy with the policy and they're not looking for any significant changes, we can absolutely move forward to county council first or for adoption.
Okay.
Thank you. We only made it through priority 1. We didn't quite go through priority 2 through 8. You know, and I don't know how the rest of council feels, but you know, if we could have put priority 1 on every single one of them, I would have, right? So it's not that, you know, the land use bylaw is less important. I was a little bit surprised about the 10% discretionary time on that one. But I just wanted to reiterate, I think every single one of these is priority number 1. And by sharing the time, the discretionary time, I kind of didn't really understand discretionary time. I felt it was all their time, like there's a day, right? You know, kind of thing, so that everything received equal attention. Can you kind of, how you perceive that to be, and then compared to what I'm thinking it is?
Through the chair to Councillor Holland. Yes, so again, considering seasonal factors, come winter time, I can honestly say we probably spend 2% of our time with animal control, because animal control in the winter months is typically not present. Summertime, it's probably more like 30%. So it's very difficult to say, hey, we're going to spend 15% of our time doing animal control when there's no animal control issues. Vice versa, oh, hey, there's a dog at large, well, we can't get to it because we've kind of allotted our time. So when we look at discretionary, it's time, it's trying to manage any time outside of their regular complaint calls that they're addressing, because we strive to respond to all of our calls as quickly as possible. This policy would give us guidance if I have multiple calls at the same time, which one's going to end up first, second, third, which right now we kind of triage based on again, personal impression of the complaint. But there's things like animal control, you typically want to get to those earlier. You know, if you have a dog at large or an animal bite, you may want to get to that quicker than the fire permit. So for us, it's really difficult to say, hey, we're going to spend X amount of our time on this specific element. But what we can do is take the time that's not, when there are no complaints. There are days where we will have a day where there's no complaints. Well, great. Now is when we start to allocate that discretionary time and get out there and spend some time. Again, if we're going a little more proactive on derelict buildings, okay, well, now we're going to spend that 15% of your discretionary time working on that piece. That's my impression.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councillor Calhoun.
Thank you through the chair to Chief Chalapé. I just have two questions under animal control. One where it says respond to complaints relating to, and it says responsible pet ownership. I'm assuming that should be irresponsible unless we're going to start rewording responsible pet owners, which would be awesome. And might just be a typo. And my second, my real question is though, I don't know if it'd be possible to add this or if it's a reason it's not there. So if you could just maybe clear that up for me. We have stray large dogs. Why don't we have agricultural animals at large? Because that does happen and sometimes it is a repeat offender. So does this kind of restrict you from being able to deal with that?
Through the chair to Councillor Calhoun. So for the first question regarding irresponsible pet ownership, that's just common language in because it ties back to the SPCA. So when we talk about responsible pet ownership, that's making sure that your pet has shelter, food, water, the necessities of life. So if we have concerns regarding responsible pet ownership or lack thereof, that's the vernacular there. In terms of agricultural animals, so there's a couple factors there. Our CPOs do not have the Stray Animals Act on their appointment. So if there is agricultural livestock on a provincial highway, we typically refer to the RCMP and the brand inspector. Part of the problem is if you get into Stray Animals Act, well, if you have a cow at large, now we have to try and catch said cow and take a cow to a location that's quarantined from other live. Like it's a big deal. One thing we did when we passed the latest update to the traffic safety bylaws, we did put in fines for livestock creating a traffic hazard or nuisance. So on our county roads specifically, we did give ourselves some provisions under the traffic safety element to approach that problem because we did see the problem and we did give ourselves a tool to manage it.
Thank you so much. That answered my question and that's good to know that's covered. Thank you.
Yes, and that worked out very well. Came at the right time and everything. So thank you for that again. So we're good with so Councillor Stasiak would like to move this policy forward to county council at the next county council meeting. Vote to Athabasca County Council. Made that motion. Okay. All in favor? Carried. 8-0. Up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you for the awesome format of the survey and that can be used for other things in the future. I found it very user friendly and it even kept my attention span, which is like this big. So thank you.
Okay. I think we'll move into, well, we got 7.4 here. That is the RMA district update. And I think everybody, motion to. No, we just go ahead and read it and everything. I think it's a good read. I think there was an email we just got, right?
Yeah, there's Bill 28, of course, has some major changes for municipalities that are really, everybody should try and familiarize themselves with it. There's some webinars that the RMA has been putting out with regards to it. But there's I can't remember what they titled it, but it is a really good document that you're going to want to read when they come out with how they explain all the changes in Bill 28. I highly recommend that councillors take that time to read that document. And it has been emailed out from RMA.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just a read or a webinar that you're suggesting?
There's both.
Okay.
You know, and the more we can learn about it, the better, because I know there's going to be some there's gonna be some changes, yeah.
So from here, we'll go, I think we have one closed session item.
I think so. I don't
Yeah.
have the new.
I don't have the new one either for some strange reason, but new cover. So
What's it called? Closed item? On your agenda?
Oh.
Official section 29. One.
okay, advice from officials, section 29, one motion to go into closed. Reeve Holland has made a motion to go into close. All in favor? Motion carried.